You are looking live at Soldier Field in Chicago, where the unbeaten Bears, who have set off a wave of Super Bowl fever in this sports-happy town, take on the Atlanta Falcons. Now, no one is enjoying the Bears' big year more than their veteran superstar Walter Payton, who's having another all-pro season. In fact, the only running back in the NFC who's having a better year is Atlanta's Gerald Riggs, who leads the entire league in rushing. Also live, you're looking at Tampa Stadium, where the Buccaneers play host to the Detroit Lions, who have playoff hopes of their own. For Tampa fans, the focus today is on Steve Young, the former Brigham Young star who is making his first start for the Bucs. Still live, you are now looking at the Metrodome of Minnesota, where it's the Vikings against the New Orleans Saints, who have been playing like sinners. The Vikings need a victory to keep their fading playoff hopes alive. And finally, you are looking live at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh, where the Steelers clash with the Washington Redskins in an interconference matchup. Making his first start at quarterback is second-year man Jay Schrader, who came off the bench to lead the Redskins to victory Monday night.
Washington's victory over the Giants tightened up the race in the NFC East. And I'll have a story on the co-leaders in that division, Dallas and the Giants, and the moves they've made this week to bounce back from embarrassing defeats. We'll also be talking live to the former All-Pro quarterback for the Cowboys, Roger Staubach.
The Bears are already champions, but we'll give you the surprise winner of another division. And that's not all. We'll tell you who all the playoff teams from the NFC will be, including the wild cards. All that and more.
And your authorized Seiko dealer. Seiko, man invented time, Seiko perfected it. True Value Hardware stores. The more you've got to do, the more you need True Value. We've got what it takes. And by the 1986 Volkswagens. It's not a car, it's a Volkswagen. And now, here's Brent Musburger.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the NFL today. This is the time of year when weather becomes such an important factor. In Chicago, real nasty. Temperature in the 20s. Atlanta comes up out of the south. Up in Buffalo, heavy winds off the lake today, and, of course, Miami playing the Bills. Jimmy, when I think about weather this time of year, of course, there's Phoenix, Arizona down there. They would love to have an NFL team. There's been talk again about the St. Louis Cardinals moving to Phoenix. What do you know about that story?
Well, let's put it this way. Phoenix is going to have an NFL team soon, but it isn't going to be St. Louis because they can't get a stadium there to begin with.
All right, so they'll have to wait for an expansion team. Irv, you were with the Chicago Bears in the massacre down in Dallas. What about William Perry as a defensive player, which he was drafted to play? What's he going to be, and how good is he?
Defensive tackle, fair the middling. And Tom Landry said if he had to run at anybody in that defensive line, it would be William Perry. So he's still learning his trade.
They should keep him in the offensive backfield. You know, the big story in the NFL this week was that career-threatening injury that Washington quarterback Joe Theismann suffered when both bones in his lower right leg were snapped in last Monday's game against the Giants. Now, following surgery, he is recuperating at Arlington Hospital in Virginia. And when Irv Cross visited him there yesterday, Joe recalled the dreadful moment of contact.
But I've never, ever heard a more eerie sound than that. It just sounded like two muzzled shotguns, just pow, pow. And it was like air coming out of a balloon for me. And I didn't think of anything except, please don't touch my leg. And the first thing that came to my mind was, did it come through the skin?
Have you entertained any thoughts of retirement?
At this particular point in time, I have absolutely no ambitions, desires, or thoughts about retiring from professional football.
How do you think Schrader will do against Pittsburgh?
I think he'll do well. I think Jay will do very well. The question's going to be how well the team will do. I think no matter what happens on the football field, he will have an influence in it.
Throughout it all, fiancée Kathy Lee Crosby has been by his side. Have you been touched by the fans' response?
Literally thousands and thousands of preschoolers, kindergartens, first grade, second grades, the elementary schools, the different organizations that have sent cards and flowers. I mentioned, you know, I got one, probably the one I chuckled the most was the defensive backs of the Dallas Cowboys. I thought to myself, I'm wondering if they really miss me because they've picked off 8 this year. They figure, hell, if we get in the playoffs, we get another shot at Joe.
All right, Irv, on the skeleton prop, perhaps we can explain this right here. The bone, both of them were shattered like that. Now, this looks a lot nastier than it is because doctors were happy to report to the Redskins then it went back together in Joe's leg, much like a jigsaw puzzle would work. And Irv, they didn't even have to use a pin or a plate. And you know, seriously, a football player can afford a broken leg much easier than a cruciate ligament exploding in a knee, right?
Well, particularly when you see an injury that's severe. It is a bad injury, but, you know, Joe had a broken leg once before up in Toronto, and he came back from it. He thinks he'll come back for this one, too.
So you think he'll come back, Jimmy?
Oh, definitely. He'll be back as a quarterback, but as he says, not as a punter anymore.
Now, in football, as in other walks of life, one man's misfortune can be another man's opportunity. And when Theismann's backup, the unheralded Jay Schrader, came to the rescue the other night, fans began to ask, who is he and where does he come from?
Schrader played college ball at UCLA. In his best game, he came off the bench to defeat USC in 1980. The next year, he signed with the Blue Jays Class A farm team in Florence, South Carolina. His specialty, striking out. So when the Redskins drafted him in '84, he was not upset.
I don't miss baseball at all. It's hard to get a catch that hits for a big average. I always like to swing for the fences, so I was, you know, I ended up missing more times than I hit it.
Monday night, when Theismann was being carried off, Jay was thinking about what he had to do.
I was trying to get the game plan in my mind and try to figure out what the Giants were doing on defense and get my mind in tune with the game just like I had been playing it all night long.
On his first pass, he hit a long ball to Art Monk.
That was a big boost. It did help my confidence. The linemen came over and they said, look, you know, let's keep it rolling and see what happens the rest of the night. My ego is just telling me to stay cool, and Jay Schrader is going to work hard on what he can do and try to be the best he can. And every Sunday, he wants to be remembered as a guy that every Sunday he goes out there and competes.
Now, meanwhile, the Kansas City Chiefs are having all kinds of trouble this year. A long losing streak, persistent rumors of a coaching change, and this week, the team was hit by another problem it did not need. When Kansas City defensive end Mike Bell was indicted on drug trafficking charges, it came as a shock to the team.
I think they have the same reaction as I did as far as being surprised, because it was a surprise to all of us.
There has been speculation that there's a drug problem on the Chiefs, but the players deny it.
Drugs is not the problem with this team, you know. There is not a drug problem on this football team.
Bell is off the roster, will not play today, and he appears in front of a U.S. magistrate next Wednesday. And in college football, all Arizona State had to do last night was beat Arizona, and they would wind up in the Rose Bowl. Arizona State, set to receive this punt, was ahead at this moment in the game 13-3. This is the play that turned the contest completely around. When the return man could not get the handle on the punt, it rolled free and was recovered by Don Bians for a touchdown in the end zone. Arizona went on to win, and that means that on New Year's Day, the Rose Bowl will match up Iowa against UCLA. And the NFL Today continues with a live interview with Roger Staubach in just a moment. The Cowboys and the Giants are coming off tough defeats.
You know, Brent, the best way to look at the Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants this afternoon is to play the good news, bad news game. The good news is that the two teams are tied for first in the NFC East and have an inside track to the playoffs. The bad news is what happened to them last week.
Over the years, the silver and blue swagger of the Dallas Cowboys has been the symbol of pride and excellence in pro football. But last week, the Cowboys were thoroughly mauled by the new power in the NFL.
I was definitely mad, and I'm mad still. I'm tired of talking about last Sunday. It's over.
We were kind of humiliated, and if you got any pride at all, it's going to hurt quite a bit. It took me several days to get over it. I can usually recover pretty fast, but it took me a little bit longer this time.
And it don't matter who it is, where we are, what... The Dallas loss gave the Giants a golden opportunity to take command of the NFC East, but that dream turned into a Monday nightmare as the Giants were embarrassed by two onside kick recoveries, and an untested quarterback came off the bench to pass the Redskins to victory.
What's been the tone of practice here for your club this week, Coach?
It's been very good, and, you know, as I said, it's, you know, we're not a last-place team right now, and there's a lot at stake, and our players know that, and I think they'll respond well. They have all year.
And the Giant players were responding well. Clowning around is always good therapy after a tough defeat. Meanwhile, Coach Landry refused to show his team last week's game film, and his players appreciated not having to live through that disaster again. The Cowboys were getting their swagger back, and that could be bad news for the Eagles today.
I hope everybody's mad and perturbed and embarrassed, and when we suit up this weekend, we want to go back out on the field and have that little burr in the back of your neck, you know, that reminds you about 44-0.
I think we have a lot of people on our team with a lot of pride, and it hurts you
But the only way you do anything about it is go out and play the next week.
We just have to get in a good frame of mind and concentrate more, put a little more effort into it, and just try to have fun.
We should remain confident. I think we are, and we know we've done a lot of good things to get to where we're at, so we just got to keep it going.
We know we're, on top of the East with the Giants right now and 2 other teams within 1 game. So, I mean, it's all in front of us, so we haven't really lost much, but a little pride out of that game, and that's about what we lost.
Well, with us now live is former Cowboy great Roger Staubach. Roger, what about the character test for the Cowboys today? What about this football team?
Well, I think this year the character is true. I think there was a lot of false chatter last year. They kept saying they're going to do this and do that, but this year the team started out in training camp, so they got off to a good start. You need a little humility with that character also, and they got the humility with the Bears, but they're in a good position now at 7-4, and they have a streak here that Dallas has usually handled pretty well. They play the Eagles, which will be a tough game, but then they have Thanksgiving, then some time to rest for that next game. So going into the Giants, if they can get back into a positive momentum situation, I think they have a very good chance of winning the division, but they still have to go through Chicago. But once you're into the division and you're playing in a big game, anything can happen like it did for us in '75 in Minnesota.
Roger, what's your appraisal of the quarterback situation with Danny White and Gary Hogeboom right now?
Well, Danny is in command. There's no question about who's the quarterback right now. Danny is still recovering a little bit from last year. He didn't start last year. I think it bothered him, and probably deservedly so at times, at least psychologically. And he has played extremely well this year, but the offense can't afford to make mistakes and win games. That's not a good trend, because you want to be able to make up for the mistakes you make and win games. But right now, Dallas's offense needs to get in gear, and if they make a few turnovers, forget about it, make up for them. That hasn't been happening. They've been relying on the defense, but Danny's done a good job at quarterback. He's got experience, and I can gradually see his confidence improving as long as he can overcome the Bears game, because the Bears really put a sting on Dallas they didn't expect.
How about the Bears, Roger? How good a team are they?
The Bears, I think, are for real. They're obviously they're 11-0. They're tough, good defense, good offense. They're in a groove, and a team that's in a groove like the Bears. And Mike is a disciplined coach. He's got them going. So the Bears are going to be the team to beat, and it'll have to be some good fortune in the playoffs for someone to beat them.
All right, Rod. Thank you very much. Always good to talk to you. We're going to continue with Jimmy the Greek taking a look at today's games on CBS in just a moment. I can't remember the last time when a team has been favored by almost 20 points in an NFL game. Now, here are the Bears without their starting quarterback going up against a team traditionally that gives them trouble. Everybody must love the Bears right now.
Well, wouldn't you? I loved them since the beginning of last year. Listen, they're at home. They're going to prove to the world that they are a great team, which they are. They will win again and win easy, Brent. Their ego. They have to go undefeated, even though it's still 7-1, they don't.
Well, give me a score.
31-13.
About 18 points, according to the Greek.
Now, what you want to say it. You said it. I didn't.
Let me say, Washington going in to play Pittsburgh, and I've got to like the Steeler defense in this game.
Well, the Steeler defense with Washington's defense about him. Let's not forget one thing. Pittsburgh's got 2 good wide receivers, 2 good running backs, and they're playing at home. So you got to give Pittsburgh the edge. Definitely in the ballgame because of that. But you know what? Riggins has no second effort anymore. And I tell you, it's making the Washington coaches worry a little bit. But the intangible part of it is these kids want to play for Schrader. I'm talking about the Washington Redskins. They definitely want to prove to the world that they're still a good ball club, and they got an outside chance for the wild card anyway.
All right, now, late doubleheader game. The Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia. Cowboys were embarrassed last week. Eagles have been very tough on defense. This could wind up being a very close game.
No question about it, but regardless of how close it is, Dallas is going to win it because nobody beats Landry twice in the same year. But both quarterbacks, by the way, are hurting or they're going to play. But you know what gets me about this game? Dallas at home. It's going to be a different ball club today. They're going to prove
they
to
were
the
home
world.
last week. Give me a score on this game.
They're going to win it by a touchdown.
All right. I know you like some underdogs today. Let's take a look at them, all right?
I like
See
three
right
of them.
now. Here are the gifts. Green Bay to upset the Rams.
No question.
Cincinnati over Cleveland.
It'll be close.
San Diego big on Houston.
No question.
And Indianapolis to upset Kansas City.
How about Indianapolis on the road? I must be crazy.
All right, and the rest of the schedule looks this way. The Giants, the Jets, Detroit, and Minnesota to win, according to the Greek. And the rest of the teams, Miami, the Raiders, and San Francisco. What about the weather up in Buffalo?
They say it's awfully windy, so it makes it a defensive battle.
All right. Now, Jimmy, give me the 5 teams you think are going to go to the playoffs for the NFC. The AFC is too much up in the air.
Is there any question that the Bears are going to be there? No question about it. Is that right? And Dallas and the Giants are my choices. Now, here is the upset. San Francisco will win the division title. I know, the Rams have got a 2-game lead.
5 games to go.
Yeah, but on December 23rd, on a Monday night, the Raiders will beat the Rams, and that will make San Francisco the winner.
And Santa Claus really exists. All right, the NFL Today continues on CBS.
Hey, that was all right.
In just a moment. My kind of town, Chicago is. But you know, the Bears have become a lot more than the only unbeaten team in the NFL, because right now they are a phenomenon. They're a cultural tour de force, the biggest happening since the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Our Johnny Morris, a former Bear star, has been in Chicago long enough to know that what's going on there this fall is truly extraordinary.
The city of big shoulders is lighting up for the Bears as all of Chicago is embracing the team that this year has made the second city #1 in football. I've been in Chicago as a member of the Bears and a reporter here at WBBM television for over 25 years. When I was on the Bear championship team of 1963, there just wasn't the excitement there is today. It's been unbelievable. Yes, Bear Mania has overwhelmed Chicago.
Everywhere you walk on the streets, it's like we're big national figures, and people appreciate it, and I'm glad they're enjoying it, because we're enjoying it.
Some little old ladies came up to me in the store last night and come out and say, we watch the Bears now because it's so much fun.
The Bears are the recipients, and justifiably so, of a real love affair coming from just about everybody in the city.
There's so many young players on the team. On Sundays, you're bound to see one of 3 Bears as Coach Ditka, Walter Payton, and Gary Fensick compete with their own TV shows.
I'm the defensive representative. That's why I'm there, just to balance it out with what Mike says and Walt here.
The fans don't have to worry about the Bears going into hibernation. Appearances at luncheons, malls, and at this women's football clinic are an everyday event. But the big drawing card is the fridge.
When I drove up, I looked at all the people. I still didn't believe it.
Bear Mania is spreading beyond the shores of Lake Michigan. Not only are the Bears in national sports magazines, but in the week of the summit, they pose for the cover of Newsweek.
We're getting the national focus right now because we've been such a closet team for so long, and I think now it's about time it was Bear time.
The Bears' on-the-field performance has led to off-the-field commercial success.
They don't call me Iron Mike for nothing.
Besides the coach, the offensive line is also in the act.
Hit it. We got the line together, and
And now, instead of play signals, they respond to other cues. Lights, camera, action.
Learning how to do a little bit of this acting job. Am I close enough?
Yeah. All this makeup and fanfare, Papa Bear's rolling over in his grave.
Maybe so, but Coach Ditka thinks Bear Mania may actually help the team achieve its goal of a perfect season.
I think we got a chance as long as if they ever convert the football into a hamburger or Coke, we'll beat anybody.
In Chicago, I'm Johnny Morris for the NFL Today.
As a long-time suffering Bear fan, a reminder, remember what happened to the Cubs in San Diego. Don't get the big head now. Irv, listen, we've got a quarterback development in Pittsburgh. David Woodley can't go because of a stomach virus?
Yeah, Scott Campbell's going to go, a young quarterback out of Purdue. You know, he hasn't thrown a pass yet this year, so they're even up as far as quarterbacks going.
Sure,
today.
Schrader now taking on young Campbell. And we will continue with the NFL Today on CBS in just a moment. Remember Dallas running back Dwayne Thomas? He made a name for himself not talking. Well, today he talks to Irv Cross, and we'll have that interview for you at halftime. We'll see you then, everybody.
Chicago, that wonderful town, and the Windy City, it's got itself a wonderful football team to represent it, the Bears. It's a team of many stars, the refrigerator, William Perry, and the unusual quarterback, Jim McMahon. They've made believers out of just about everybody.
I think the Bears are having a really an outstanding year. That's probably an understatement since they're 11-0, but they play so well, and they played under adversity, and some with McMahon hurt a lot, and I just think that they're really the team that has the greatest opportunity, you know, to go to the Super Bowl.
The Bears certainly are number one. They've convinced Green Bay's Forrest Gregg.
I think you go into the ball game knowing when you play the Bears that you better play tough. And if you don't play tough, you're going to wind up getting beat on the scoreboard, and you're also going to wind up getting beat physically.
The victory over Dallas was just that, on the scoreboard and physical, and shocked the whole country. And with their success has come the recognition.
The advantage everybody's going to have right now in preparing for them, you don't have to worry about your players. They know that they're going to be playing a great football team. They beat us badly. They have so many ways to beat you. I think that what you got to hope for is that you'll play your absolute best and that they'll have an off day.
So many ways indeed. Walter Payton throws a touchdown pass to the quarterback, Jim McMahon.
I think they'll go down as one of the greatest teams that's been on the field. They have talent. They're well organized. They're beautifully motivated, and their style is good.
The Bears' style is the controlled emotion of the coach, Mike Ditka, and the flamboyance of Jim McMahon.
We can look back at some of the great teams, the Green Bay teams, the Pittsburgh teams, the Miami teams. You know, they had great longevity. You know, the Bears are just arriving. History will tell how good the Bears are. You can't predict history.
So today in Chicago, the Bears, 11-0, face the improving Atlanta Falcons. We're live at Soldier Field in Chicago, the home of the Bears, with their 11-0 record. And today they entertain the Atlanta Falcons, who are 2-9 for the year. There had been some ominous weather forecast, but it really isn't that bad. 21 degrees is pretty cold, but the wind chill makes it only 10 degrees. Only 10. But the wind is really the factor, northwest at just 7 miles an hour. Jim McMahon, we mentioned a few times earlier, but he will not start today. He is dressed. He was in street clothes last week. Today he's in uniform, but will not play. Steady Steve Fuller will start. Good afternoon. I'm Pat Summerall here with John Madden. We talked to Atlanta Falcon coach Dan Henning last night, and he said a rather unusual thing, I thought. We asked him what he thought it was going to take to win. He said, I want to make the game just as short as possible.
Well, of course, the way to make the game short is to keep the ball on the ground, to control it offensively with Gerald Riggs running the ball. And as he said, he would like to do that, keep their offense off the field, and then go into the fourth quarter and be close to them. He thinks because if they can get them into the fourth quarter and be close to it, then they can beat them in the fourth quarter. They just don't want to get blown out early. They really feel that they have two things going for them. One, obviously, is Gerald Riggs, who's the leading rusher in the NFL, and the other is the fact that this is the biggest game of the year to the Falcons. You know, they've had a dismal year, and they've said that if they could beat the Bears, that would give them a bright light on a bad season. That's the thing they have going. And they think that the Bears, on the other hand, don't, because they thought that their big game was against Dallas last week and Miami next week, and that they may be looking past the Falcons. Now, just listening to the Bears, watching the Bears practice, talking to Coach Mike Ditka, I don't have that feeling that this Bear team will ever let down. I think that's the thing. They only know how to play one way. When they go out in the field, you go after everything in sight, and that's what got them 11-0, and I don't think they're going to change today.
Well, the Bears will have first crack at it. Mick Luckhurst will kick off for the Atlanta Falcons. A little bit of a wind. That 7-mile-an-hour wind is at his back. Dennis Gentry is back with Willie Galt. Both of them are dangerous. Galt, of course, world-class danger. Luckhurst to kick it off. Off the side of his foot, it's going to be Galt bobbling, finding the handle finally. And he's got that great speed. Galt out to about the 27, where he's taken down there by Sean Thomas. The Bear backs and receivers. Steve Fuller starting at quarterback. Peyton and Suey, the running backs, and Galt and McKinnon, the wide receivers. Up front, it's Colbert, Bortz, Hilgenberg, Tom Thayer at right guard, Van Horn, the right tackle, and Emery Moorhead starting at tight end. McKinnon out to the left and Galt out wide to the right. Peyton and Suey change spots in the backfield. Both of them dangerous. Peyton great. Peyton gets the first carry. Breaks it into the secondary. Peyton gets a gain of about 15 before Buddy Curry finally knocks him down. the Atlanta defense. Brian Pitts, Benish, and Gann up front. The linebackers, Brady, Curry, and Al Richardson. And in the secondary, it's Young, and it's Ben Byrne, but they're learning. Butler and Case and Wide, Case and Tiger Green, the secondary. First down. Gain of 16 by Payton on his first carry. McKinnon, the move man, and it's Payton again. He surges with that second effort for a gain of about 4. David Fry made the stop.
I'll tell you, on that first play, did Walter Payton put a move on Scott Case. He came up, and he was under control to tackle him. Payton gave him a move, and he just fell flat on his face.
Payton gunning for his 7th consecutive 100-yard game. That would tie the all-time record, which is shared with O.J. Simpson and Earl Campbell. It's time at Suey. Suey is hit in the backfield. Nothing doing. David Fry again with help from Mike Gann.
It looked like that play was fouled up from the start. I don't know if it was Steve Fuller or something happened, because it was going to be a counter. We're going to see Suey coming back to the left. It looks like when he started up, the ball darn near got out of Fuller's hands, but he got it back, and they just didn't have enough blocking out there. They had 3 Atlanta Falcon white jerseys there.
3rd and 7, and the Bears call this formation 3.5 wide receivers. The reason is Gentry is also a running back. That was he in motion, and he fell down. Fuller gets out of the trouble, gets the ball to Payton, and he can't find the handle. You don't see that very often, but the Bears will have to punt.
You know, the thing on that play, as you said, Fuller was going to go to Gentry. It was an interesting thing. They ended up in a triple formation, but when Gentry fell down, Fuller didn't have anything to do except to start the scramble.
So Maury Buford, number 8, will go back to kick for the Bears. He did a heck of a job against Dallas last week. Anthony Allen is back deep for Atlanta. Buford kicking into the wind. Looks like they're going to try to rush it, but no, they back off and try to set up a return. This one doesn't turn over. It's going to be tough to handle if they even try. Takes an Atlanta bounce, and the Bears down and got it inside the 25. The Bears are saying, we got the football. But that's all there is to it. They're just saying that. Only a 31-yard punt by Buford, and the Falcons take over at their own 25. 0-0 at Soldier Field. The Atlanta Falcons offensive backs and receivers. Archer starts at quarterback. Gerald Riggs, the lone runner. Wide receivers Stacy Bailey and Charlie Brown. And the 2 tight ends, Cox and Benson. A rebuilt by necessity offensive line, Sanders, Kewell, Jeff Van Note, the veteran at center, Joe Pellegrini, former defensive player, the offensive right guard, and Bill Frelick moves back to right tackle.
Now, when you talk about Jeff Van Note being a veteran, there's a real veteran. 17 years, going on 40 years old, bending over, snapping that ball. That's a real veteran.
At that position, that's a tribute. Benson was the move man. It's Riggs with the football, tries the right side, is hit after maybe a yard. Otis Wilson, the defensive player of the week last week. The Bear defense could have been voted player of the week. Hampton, McMichael, Perry, and Dent. The Refrigerators, number 72. The 3 linebackers, Wilson, Singletary, and Wilbur Marshall. And the secondary, Richards and Frazier on the corners, Durison and Fensick, the safety men. Archer gives on the draw to Riggs. He breaks away from one, can't get away from Otis Wilson. He got only a yard.
They were talking about Jeff Van Note being in the league 17 years and still have to line up on a young rookie that weighs about 310 pounds by the name of the Refrigerator on the second play out of the game. I'll tell you, that'll get that heart beating a little for you. You look up there and see that big 72 spread across there.
You no longer will have sinus problems. 3rd and 9. They go with 3 wide receivers, the Falcons do, on the opposite side of the field. Archer fires outside, incomplete. Nobody in the neighborhood. And Atlanta will have to punt.
You know, the way Archer's running off the field there, and he was rubbing his hand, I wonder if it didn't slip. I think that ball, the way he's indicating, something slipped. You know, sometimes when it's real cold like this, the ball gets a little slick, and so do your hands.
Ralph Giacomo to kick for Atlanta. Just activated after Donnelly went down. Portigo is back deep for the Bears. The penalty marker goes down. Portigo handles at the 30. Slips momentarily. Gets away from one man. Is hammered and hammered hard finally by Ronnie Washington. That happens often. He is down in a hurry always. Against Atlanta. 45-yard punt.
2 flags went down against the Falcons.
Right guard, offense, decline. First down.
What happens on that punt, of course, once those guys get up there and get set, they can't move. The right guard probably moved to get in better position.
0-0. 11:03 left first quarter. Pat Summerall, John Madden at Soldier Field in Chicago. 21 degrees when they kicked off. But luckily, there is not much wind yet. A lot better than what was predicted, as a matter of fact. 1st and 10 for the Bears at their own 38. Suey is the motion man. Payton is the ball carrier. Hit at the line of scrimmage and finally swarmed on by the Atlanta defense. David Fry led the charge for an NFL update. Let's take you back to New York and Brent Musburger.
Well, Pat and John, here's how the Redskins opened up on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Higgins coming up the middle, found an alley, broke to the outside, and returned this kickoff 95 yards. Now, that set up a touchdown burst. George Rogers from 2 yards. The Steelers have just kicked a field goal, so it is now 7-3, Redskins ahead. Let's go back to Pat and John.
That's a big game for both those clubs. This is a big game, a very important game for Atlanta. Of course, the Bears would like to stay unbeaten. Chase that Miami record. The mix-up in the backfield. Fuller rolls out. Has Emery Moorhead wide open. And Moorhead gets down into Atlanta territory. Stopped by David Fry, a pickup of 21.
You know what I think that was, Pat? It was that Washington Redskin play where they pull a guard one way and a guard the other way. Watch the 2 guards cross. See them there? And they fake at the same time, then come out here on the bootleg, and they find the tight end. Now, that time, the Bears went into 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, the old Redskin 1-back offense, and they ran the old Redskin bootleg play.
To a lot of people, that might have looked like a mistake, but that's a planned play.
You have to have smart guards when you do that, or they'll run into each other and sandwich the quarterback.
This is Suey. He hammers down inside the 40 to about the 37, tripped up by Buddy Curry.
You know, one of the things Dan Henning was saying last night, he said, if we can't stop the Bears running, he said, we don't have a chance. We'll get blown out. And early, they've done a pretty good job. You know, Payton has had that one 16-yard run, but other than that, they've kind of put the clamps on them pretty good early.
They put the clamps on the Rams last week. Were able to control the ball for over 40 minutes. The Rams couldn't run against them. That's their formula. Here come flags from everywhere. Falcons pointing, Bears pointing. It's all you can do at this point, isn't it?
Well, Mike Pitts was a nose tackle.
Number 74, defense, 5 yards, still 2nd down.
And he should never be offside, but I'm sure that's he has to thought he saw something move. Mike Pitts lined up right over the ball. His nose was right down in front of the ball. He was sniffing it. How can you jump offside? He has to say something moved.
He's saying it was Emery Moorhead. Pitts lines up over the center, Hilgenberg. The Falcons have gone to the Bear defense. They have done it well. Here's Payton. both these teams should know how to play, shouldn't be confused against this so-called bear look or the 46 or the bullet. That's what the Falcons call it, because they practice against it.
Well, it was interesting how the Falcons got into this defense with the Bears having so much success last year. Dan Henning thought that we better put it in just to practice against it in training camp. So they started doing that. Then they started playing it pretty well. Then as they got injured players and they had to put new players in, they thought this was the simplest thing to play right now.
Make it good! Make it good!
First down, Bears. Suey moves in motion. Fuller going for Galt. Wendell Kaysen, a young and improving cornerback, back there with Galt step for step. Miami leading Buffalo in Buffalo, 7-0 first quarter. The Jets, and boy, that's a big one in the AFC East. That's for first place. The Jets 3-0 over New England. Minnesota, New Orleans tied 7-7. And Houston surprisingly leading San Diego 7-0. All those in the first quarter, as is the Cleveland 3-0 lead over Cincinnati. That's another big one for both of them. 2nd and 10 from the 30. Suey in motion. Fuller drop back straight. Almost a spectacular catch by Dennis McKinnon, who had a couple of steps. That was 6.
That was a good throw by Fuller, too, because, you know, they always say double coverage, don't throw into double coverage. Sometimes if you have a good receiver and you have a good quarterback who can read, you can throw into double coverage if he can run right by the double coverage. Watch it out here to the left. You see they got inside, outside, but McKinnon went right through both of them and got one hand on the ball. Now that's where Fuller had to throw that ball.
Here they go again with a 3.5 wide receivers. Gentry was the man in motion. They give him a reverse to Payton, who is cut down at the pass and hammered. Thomas Benson was the first man there, and he finishes off with a lot of help.
Yeah, I think this was going to be a run pass. I think you see it was a little counter. See the receivers on the right-hand side of the screen there? I think what they were trying to do is throw the ball. Payton got out there, couldn't find anything, and the old pass rush was meant for Fuller, got to Payton.
That was Mike Pitts, not Benson, who was the first man there, who hit Payton and knocked him off stride. Benson finally putting down. Maury Buford standing back at his own 45, and Anthony Allen at his own 10. Buford will try to lay this one out of bounds. Into the end zone. Almost. Buford had great success last week against Dallas, pinning the Cowboys inside their 10 3 times. 0-0 first quarter.
You know, in that last play, we're talking about Walter Payton, who gets the ball here from Steve Fuller. He comes out here. He was going to throw a run pass, but he was going to throw it back here to Fuller. But Fuller, the quarterback, gets knocked off. Now watch Steve Fuller. He's going to hand the ball to Payton. Now watch right there. You see he gets knocked down right there. Now as he comes out of it, see it was too late, but he could have sneaked back here. He really did have an opening back to this side.
Atlanta's ball, and they send Riggs to the left. Riggs hammered out of bounds after a pickup of about 5 by Singletary and Wilbur Marshall.
You know, Richard Dent was talking about Gerald Riggs yesterday. He said, I met him in the off-season at a banquet in Atlanta. He said, I didn't know who he was. I thought he was someone said he played in the NFL. I thought he was a linebacker. Then they said, that's Gerald Riggs, a running back. Then so I've never seen a running back that big. I mean, that guy runs. He said, I know what we have to tackle today.
He runs and is durable. Cliff Benson, number 87, moved in motion. Got the block in front of Riggs. Riggs gets to about the 32. Wilbur Marshall made the stop. NFL update time, and let's go back to New York and Brent Musburger.
Well, Pat, here's one for John. Take a look at this hit on Eric Hipple. Now, Jeff Davis, the linebacker at Tampa Bay, delivered on the sideline. It looked worse than it was. Hipple is up walking around. He has not returned. Obviously, he's a little woozy, but he took a blow, didn't he, John and Pat?
Not many times you see anybody get their helmet knocked off like that. Hipple had been hurt already. 3rd and 2. They go to Riggs. He He's got the first down. And that's what they feel they have to do. Doesn't look very pretty.
No, and as you say, that's how you shorten the game. You just stay out there, take your time. 3rd down, 4 or 5. You don't have to pass all the time. Run it, give it to this guy Riggs here, leading ground gainer in the league. That's the Atlanta plan, to stay patient, just stay after him, take it slow and easy, keep their offense off the field.
And remember, that Atlanta offensive line is just about totally rebuilt. Van Nota's the only one who began this first of the year. Here's Riggs in the arms of McMichael. He got about a yard. 41 carries last week for Gerald Riggs.
You know, that McMichael, you have to like him. You know, his nickname is Mongo McMichael. But he said, every week I want to play. He said, because I never know if it's going to be my last game or not. And if it is going to be my last game, I want it to be a good one.
He drives the truck. 2nd and 9.
Where's the cap?
Archer sprints out to the right. Throwing in the direction of Charlie Brown. Not there. And with him was Gary Fensick. Mike Richardson on the coverage also.
Richardson was the first guy. Richardson was afraid that that official was going to call pass interference because immediately after he hit the receiver, he started doing his arms like this, going, no, 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 no. And the official didn't call anything. I think as he shook his head there, I think he's saying, I dodged a bullet on that one.
3rd and 8. Joe Washington has replaced Riggs. Surprisingly, Joe Washington is a good pass blocker. The fake is to him. Look out, here comes Richard Dent. Flag is down. The pass is complete to Arthur Cox, who hammers down to the 39-yard line. Mike Richardson knocked him out of bounds at about the 37, as a matter of fact. A gain of 28, but a penalty marker down. It's against Atlanta. They take away a big one.
Boy, that's a tough break for the Falcons because that's the type of thing you have to do to this Bear defense is try and get a big play, and one of the ways to do it is to sneak someone through.
Offense, still 3rd down.
Dan Henning just called the official over he's talking to right now and said, that's 2 you nailed us for, and that's twice you've been wrong.
From the 30. Number 81 is Billy Johnson. But you know, that type of thing that they did to Arthur Cox there is on that tight end side where the Bears put 2 linebackers. If they both come, then you can sneak that guy out and there's no one to cover him.
They have Billy Johnson and Stacy Bailey together on the right side, and Johnson moves in motion. Archer straight back. Has time, throws to Bailey. Incomplete and almost picked off by Richardson again.
Richardson had to be thinking of last week against that Dallas. It was in the middle of the field. It was down closer to the goal line where he picked off a Hogaboom pass last week against the Cowboys and ran it into the end zone. It's in the same part of the field, right in the middle. The ball was right there. You see, it's the same thing that happened to receivers. When you get your hands too close to your body, the ball hits the shoulder pad.
Chuck Gamaro back to punt for Atlanta with the win. Off the side of his foot, a bouncer. Ortego will let it bounce, and it bounces up, and he handles it finally. Hit it about the 31 and taken down. With 4:14 left to play in the first quarter, still 0-0. 45-yard punt. Sellout crowd at Soldier Field. 4:14 left first quarter. 0-0 the score between Atlanta and unbeaten Chicago. You hear a lot about the Bears defense, but this is a fine offensive line. Calvin Thomas is in the lineup. Fuller back to throw and gets quickly to McKinnon. Out of bounds at about the 39. Wendell Kaysen, the defender.
You know, one thing that Mike Ditka said yesterday, he said he hopes that it's not a windy day because he'd really like to throw the ball today. He said he'd like to have Fuller have one of those passing days because he thinks that this Falcon defense is set up to throw against, and that's what he really wants to do. Although when you have Walter Payton back there in that offensive line you're talking about, that's kind of hard to dedicate a day to the passing game with this group.
Well, Ditka got one of his wishes. The wind is not very strong. They're operating against what there is right now, but it's not substantial. Here's Fuller back to throw again. Caught by Reitman. Tim Reitman in the middle of two Atlanta defenders came up with it. Now they're saying he dropped it. Now they're saying it's incomplete. Scott Case made the hit.
Hey, that sure looked like it was complete from here. Mike Ditka was saying one thing about this Reitman, he's not real fast. He doesn't have a lot of things, but he catches everything that you get around him. This is a perfect throw by Fuller, right up over the body. Now, yeah, he did fumble. That was a good call, yeah. But he did a good job of pulling it up and acting like he did. He fooled me.
He got it back.
Right there, said, no good, no.
He got it back in a hurry.
Yeah, good get back.
Third down. To Payton, who stays inbound long enough to get the first down. Thomas Benson knocked him out of bounds. But he couldn't stop. Benson just made sure, but it's a first down. A pickup of 5.
You know, in the first game that Steve Fuller started against the Detroit Lions here in Chicago, they started out and ran 21 straight plays, keeping it on the ground.
That had a lot to do with the wind also.
That's what he said. He said it was a wind. Of course, they were having great success with a run against Detroit.
From the 43. Here come the flags flying again.
Encroachment, number 69, defense.
Dan Benish encroached.
Now, that's the second time that the Falcons have encroached. I just think that they're a little anxious here. I just think that they want to, get started, and there's really no reason for it because both times it was the guy that was lined right over the ball. And he left early, and you got to, of course, you look at the ball, and you move when that moves.
Hilgenberg does something a little bit unusual with the ball. He almost stands it on his end before he snaps it. Alvin Thomas hammers to the 35-yard line of Atlanta. Scott Case finally brought him down. A pickup of 17. Buddy Curry with the assist.
Hey, you always see Walter Payton or Matt Suey, but this Calvin Thomas is pretty good, too. We saw him last week run a touchdown play against the Cowboys, and he looks like he delivers a pretty good blow when he gets into that secondary.
Did you happen to notice the block that Jim Covert got?
I'll tell you, I think that Covert is one of the best offensive linemen in the league. I'm sure that he's on his way to a Pro Bowl this year.
He should be. To Payton. Hit in the backfield. Bounces off a couple, but thrown for a loss. Al Richardson led the tackler. For another NFL update, back to New York and Brent Musburger.
Well, Pat, I'll tell you, Jay Schrader is making the most of his opportunity. Here he is for the Redskins going to Didier. He caught a pair on Monday night, and this one 18 yards, and it's 14-3 over the Steelers. Back to Pat and John.
Jay Schrader did some job, as Brent said, and it looks like he's doing it again in replacing Joe Theismann. Second down and about 13. Fake is to Payton. Fuller has it to Reitman. He struggles, doesn't quite get the first down, but another good effort by Tim Reitman. Scott Case, the tackler.
This is the type of thing that Fuller does well, this bootleg play, where you start the action of your backs this way, you fake and come out here with the ball, and then your tight end can come across. These guys start this way, and he sneaks by here. Watch your tight end, and watch both backs go to the right. Now, everyone is key in that. See the linebackers come up, and now the tight end just comes right across the field, and he hits them right where the linebackers would have been.
One thing Fuller does is rarely throw an interception. They need 4. Payton is hit very close to that first down yardage. David Fry was the first Falcon to make contact.
I think it's going to be short. Mike Ditka's going to have a decision here whether to go for it or not on 4th down. I think that 3rd and 4 shows the confidence he has in Walter Payton and in Jim Covert as he ran that ball right over the left side.
They're going to measure, and I have to believe, John, don't you, that he'll go for this.
I'm sure he will. I mean, there's no reason not to because they're in good field position. Of course, you're turning down a field goal when you do it. But I think that something like this with this team in this kind of year that they're having, I think these things darn near become automatic calls for you.
This would be an opportune time to see William Perry in the backfield, but I don't see it.
Well, they have yet to use them on a short yardage situation. They use them all the time on goal line, but this wouldn't be a bad place for them.
They're using Calvin Thomas along with Payton. 4th and about a foot. Fuller goes on the quarterback sneak, and he has it. Dan finish on the bottom of the pile, but referee Dick Jorgensen indicates already that the Bears picked up the first down. They're inside the Atlanta 25.
I tell you, they get a real surge in there by the center, Hilgenberg. You see the block that he does, and then both guards, Thayer and Bortz, converge on that guy. What they do is they just take, look, the 3 middle guys all come in on one. Boom, boom, boom. And look at the job they do on taking number 74 pitch back. Then that's where the quarterback, Fuller, just follows that group of bodies in there.
First down, Bears. And hold it a second. The Bears took the timeout. Fuller was not quite sure or didn't like what he saw.
How would you have liked to have been Mike Pitts on that last play where it's a quarterback sneak? They take Jay Hilgenberg and Mark Bortz and Tom Thayer, and that's about, oh, that would be 800 or 900 pounds worth of guy coming at you. And boom, put you back there.
Checking just some of the other scores. Tampa Bay leads Detroit 3-0 in the first quarter. Steve Young's first start. The Jets over New England 6-0. Two field goals by Leahy. Earl Campbell just scored for the Saints. It's 14-7. They lead Minnesota. Cleveland 3-0 over Cincinnati. Second quarter. Here at Soldier Field, it is 0-0. A cold but enthusiastic crowd. Temperature at the beginning of the game was 21 degrees. Don't forget, CBS Sports continues with its coverage of college football Friday. The Virginia Cavaliers against Maryland, live at 2:30 Eastern Time. And Saturday, Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, go against number 4 ranked Miami at 3:30 Eastern Time. Back to business at Soldier Field. Bears first down. Reitman in motion. Fuller back to throw it. Screen pass, and is it set up? Payton had 2 blockers. David Fry saved everything.
You know, it's an interesting thing that the Bears are doing here. On one time, they have Payton go one side. You see, here they take Reitman, put him in motion this way, and now they screen back this way to Payton. On the other play, they had Payton go that way and came back to Reitman. But see, they take their tight end, put him in motion. Defense starts to shift with him. Now they bring Walter Payton. We can stop it right here. You see, he comes out here with a screen pass right there.
Heck of a play by David Fry to keep that from being a touchdown. 2nd and 3. Back to Payton. Close to another Bear first down at about the 15-yard line. It might be a little bit shy. Buddy Curry on the stop. Third and about a yard and a half. Clock running. Here comes the end of the first quarter at Soldier Field with the score tied. Somewhat surprisingly at 0-0. The
Brian Piccolo Award is given to the Chicago Bears player whose personality shows the caring, courage, and humor that Brian himself is renowned for. Jim Covert was selected for this honor.
I'm proud to be a recipient of the Brian Piccolo Award and to be part of the National Football League's United Way public service team. As a United Way volunteer visiting with these children, I've come to realize that these same qualities that Brian stood for are in all of us. You can see them in these children, who are the recipients of the help made possible by the United Way.
And this is my friend Scott. You know, Scott, I play for the Chicago Bears.
Oh, you look big enough to be a bear, you know that?
In a United Way agency like this, or in countless agencies across the country like it, you'll find the humor and caring and enough courage and love to last you a lifetime. That's why we can say, thanks to you, it works for all of us, the United Way.
This message furnished by the National Football League. Message furnished by the National Football League.
Football League is sponsored by Miller Beer. Miller made the American way since 1855. Today's Chevrolet, who invite you to live the style, performance, and fun of Chevrolet in '86. And by the astonishingly simple new Sony Handycam. All the excitement of video movies now in the palm of your hand.
Ready to start the second quarter. Score 0-0, but the Bears threatening.
Excitement of video.
Ready to start the second quarter. Score 0-0, but the Bears threatening. They've had the ball almost 11 minutes. The Falcons haven't been able to move it much. 3rd and 2. The ball at the 16. Peyton and Calvin Thomas. Kennan in motion. Thomas hit behind the line of scrimmage. They'll have to go with Kevin Butler. Settle for 3. Rick Bryan led the defensive charge.
I'm surprised at that call right there on 3rd down that you have Peyton block. Now, Walter Payton's a good blocker, and Calvin Thomas is a good running back. But I think when you get down there and you have 3rd down, somehow, I think if you're not going to throw it, you give it to Walter Payton. You know that I would. I mean, if I had my choice whether to have Payton block and Thomas carry, or Thomas or Suey block and Peyton carry, I'd take Peyton.
Kevin Butler from 35 yards out with Buford holding. Butler has only missed 3 times all year, and he still has only missed 3 times all year. The Bears break on top. They lead the Atlanta Falcons 3-0. Just started the second quarter. Chicago 3, Atlanta 0. 35-yard field goal by Kevin Butler, who will kick off. That's the story of the drive. Cliff Austin and Dan Wagoner back deep for Atlanta. That is Austin. Austin, with the last surge, gets outside the 20, down about the 23. Stopped by Cliff Thrift. The Bears, by the way, introduced their special teams at the beginning of today's game.
I'll tell you, this is what it looks like coming down here. You know, these guys really, right at the end, had a heck of a collision, and you can see why it was a collision. Morrissey hit the ball carrier, the blocker, the ball, and himself all at one time. That's crack, 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 boom.
A rookie from Michigan State. It takes a special kind of individual to cover kickoff. Cliff Benson was the move man. Archer outside to Charlie Brown. Over his head. Leslie Frazier. One thing about the Bears, and one of the reasons they can play this defense and play it so well, is those 2 cornerbacks, Frazier and Richardson.
Well, that's the thing, and because of the fact that Frazier and Richardson can play man-to-man on those wide receivers, then they can take their other 8 guys and go after the run. See, now, Richardson and Frazier both go out there and play tight man-to-man, and everyone else plays run.
Falcons sent 3 men wide to the right. They pitch back to Riggs. Riggs cut down after a gain of about 3. by Otis Wilson and Dan Hampton.
See how Riggs always finishes off the runs? Dan Henning was saying last night in the offseason, they talked to him about it, and they said, listen, you're going to carry the ball 300 times this year. Now, right at the end of the run, if you can pick up 2 yards on every run, you see here, boom, boom, and then you just pick up. You see how he's fighting there to pick up another yard or 2. If you pick up 2 extra yards on every one, there's 600 yards right there.
They go with that funny formation again. Benson and 2 wide receivers out wide. Now Benson comes in motion. Archer skids and falls down, gets up, then goes out of bounds.
This is one of the things that the Falcons were talking about doing, is running some sprint out or bootleg stuff with Archer. You know, to get the ball outside. Then if the Bears start to defend that, then that's going to open up some inside running lanes later for Riggs. See how he just takes the ball, follows the guard out here, sprints, gets them all packed inside. He was going to make the cut there and just slipped as he tried to. Or he could have had a chance at a play, a first down.
Giacomo back to kick for Atlanta, and Taylor back deep to the Bears. Off the sideline, what a terrible kick. But a flag is down. Penalty marker down.
I think they got the Bears for roughing Giacomo. They sure did. That'll be a first down for the Falcons.
It was Duerson who was saying I didn't do it.
Well, we're going to see right here what he did. He tries to avoid him. Oh, no, that's a bad call.
Running into the kicker, number 22, defense.
I don't think he ran into him. I think Giacomo ran into Duerson.
I think Duerson did a good job of avoiding it.
Yeah, you can't do any more than that. I mean, he was not going to run into him. I think Giacomo kept that leg up there. Watch it. You see the ball kick. He stays there. I think he stuck his leg out there in front of Duerson. That shouldn't be a penalty.
It is, though, and it's first down. Atlanta. Archer looking deep for Charlie Brown. It's down with it, I think. No, incomplete. Leslie Frazier back there with him. Incomplete.
I'll tell you, that was good coverage by Frazier, because what Charlie Brown was trying to do is do a hook and go or stop and go. You see him stop? Now what he wanted Frazier to do was come up. Frazier started up and then went right back for him, ran step for step, got his hand in there. Although Charlie Brown did catch the ball, he was just out of bounds. What a heck of a catch by Charlie Brown.
It was. Atlanta is 0 for 5 passing. They completed one to Arthur Cox. It was called back because of the penalty. Second down. Riggs the lone runner. They give it to Riggs. And he gets nothing. Maybe a yard. Hard to say who made that tackle. The Bear front 4. William Perry, the refrigerator, who doesn't play on passing down.
Well, you know, of course, his nickname with the Bears, with the players and coaches, is Biscuit. Everyone says Biscuit's in here, and I tell Biscuit this, and they say, hey, Biscuits. And Dan Hampton gave him that nickname when he first reported to camp. Called him Biscuit. He said he's one biscuit away from 350 pounds.
Joe Washington in the lineup for Atlanta. Benson on the move again. Back to throw if he has time. A sprint out, chased by Hampton. Gets away from Hampton. Throwing deep, it's going to be all out of bounds. Joe Washington, the intended receiver. They wind up in the heater on the other side. Wilbur Marshall, number 58, and Gary Fensick, both back there on defense.
That heater does tend to draw some players. That drew everything. That drew the defense, the ball, the receiver, everything. Look at that deal. You know, the rule in the NFL, if you put something on your sideline, the Bears have these heaters on their sideline, then you also have to supply the same number for the other side.
That applies to everything. Telephones, heated benches, anything. Has to be available to both teams. Taylor back deep again. Better kick this time by Giacomo. Taylor wave for the fair catch. I don't know if that was a valid signal or not. The ball is loose. He waited a long time before he waved his arm. Danny Wagoner was the first man down to hit him.
And I'll tell you, we're going to have an interesting conversation here. There are 3 flags on this play. So you're going to have a fumble or a muff or a penalty or a hitting too soon. You got a lot of possibilities here on this deal.
It's going to be the hitting too soon possibility.
Now, what they have to say is, even whether it's a legal fair catch or not, which it is, that they didn't give him an opportunity to catch the ball.
Fair catch interference, number 36, kicking team, 15 yards, first down.
Danny Wagoner is the man called for the violation.
Well, that was Wagoner, and he was too close, and that was a penalty.
That ball sort of hung up there.
It did. It was a good fair catch. You know, they changed that rule this year where you have to wave your arm right to left. He did that, but Wagner didn't let him catch it.
It hit Wagner on the shoulder. 3-0 Chicago. Pat Summerall, John Madden at Soldier Field in Chicago. Cold Soldier Field. 3-0 Bears with 11:46 left to play in the first half. Calvin Thomas getting most of the playing time now for Matsui. Back there with Walter Payton. Payton gets the call. Doesn't get much. Surges over the left side for about 2. John Rady, the Atlanta leader on defense. Second down and 7. McKinnon starts in motion. Fuller back to throw. Outside McKinnon. Out of bounds at the Atlanta 45. Just about first down yardage. It is first down yardage. Gain of 7.
You know, I think this is the thing that you see here, why you want to be able to pass. You look, you got a corner here, man-to-man, and a corner here, man-to-man. Everyone else inside this box. Now, the easiest thing to do is just get up and hit the ball out there. You see why they do it? You see everyone else packed in? Now, you just get everyone else to the inside, just come up and whap, hit the receiver out here. That's the way to beat this defensive look, is to be able to throw to your outside receivers.
Gets back to that man-to-man coverage by cornerbacks. Here's Payton. 4 yards right side. Al Richardson made the initial contact.
I think it's so tough to run against. You know, this thing that everyone calls the bear look. The Falcons call it their bullets defense, because you have 8 men up there on the line of scrimmage. And sometimes you could free your safety and get 9 men up there. And it's a tough deal to run into.
It certainly has caught the fancy of a lot of teams around the league. More and more seem to be switching to it. But as Dan Henning said, it's a performance defense. You have to have the talented individuals. Here's Fuller to Payton. Walter over the left side, about a yard shy of a first down. David Fry, the tackler.
I'll tell you, if there's any guy that can run against us, it's probably this guy here, Walter Payton. And you know, when you play the Bears, that he's going to do it. No one ever stops him, you know, and the coaches don't even say, well, we're going to stop Payton. You just try and control him. He always is going to get his 100 yards.
And there's nothing that he can't do. Catch it, throw it, block, run with it.
That's why when they talk about the best back of all time in National Football League, I don't know how they can say anyone except this guy.
There might have been better runners, although that would be debatable too. Here he is for the first down. But all around, I certainly agree with you.
You know, the thing that always impressed me about Payton is this is his 11th year. In those 11 years, he started every game except one game. And the guy is like a young guy. I mean, he's always spry, he's young, he's jumping around, bouncing around, playing all the time. And I think it's because he keeps himself in such great shape. You know, he was the first guy to ever run the hills. That's how he trains, you know, running steep hills.
Or up stadium steps. First down, Bears at the Atlanta 32. Fuller back to throw it if he has time. He does get away from one Falcon. Hits Henry Moorhead, who juggles it a minute and then comes down with it. And Moorhead gets down to about the 12 before he's knocked out of bounds. A pickup of 18. They mark the ball now at just inside the 15.
You know, it's interesting how they do this again. Watch this. They'll get Peyton going to the left, and then they come back now. Now Fuller comes back to the right. Moorhead comes all the way across, bobbles the ball, catches it, and has control of it. But that same type of thing. Peyton goes one way, quarterback goes the other way, tight end comes across the field. That's been a pretty good package for the Bears.
Galt and McKinnon split wide to the left. Moorhead got 18 on that last completion. McKinnon heads upfield and heads across the middle. Fuller looking in that direction. Almost another diving spectacular catch by Moorhead. Bobby Butler was with him.
You know, we were talking about Walter Payton running a hill. He does this every day in the off season. Here's a picture of it. This kid that he's running with here is a college friend of his, but this is how he trains. You know, this is how he gets those legs in shape. This is where he gets the power. This is why he's really never been seriously injured. That's here in Chicago. He had one of those hills like that in Mississippi.
I don't know if I want to try that.
I'd be good coming down, you know. You know, like if you're a big guy and you can't see your feet and stuff, you can roll good. If someone could just get you up there, well, you can boom, you come rolling down those hills good. The hard part's going up those things. That's how you get strong legs and power. That really is, and he'll tell you that all his leg strength and all his power comes from that little drill we just saw running hills.
I wonder who that someone would be to get you up there.
Oh, a train or something.
Here's Fuller, throws low, intended for Calvin Thomas. He was under pressure. And a lot of it. Rick Bryan was back there right in Fuller's face.
Well, that's the same type of thing. It was another bootleg. They had Peyton go to the left, Fuller come out to the right, but it really didn't fool Rick Bryan. He was just right there and said, hey, you've run one bootleg too many on me.
So it'll be 3rd and 10. Line of scrimmage just inside the Atlanta 15. The Bears go with their setup that includes Gentry. And it's Gentry in motion. Falcons coming on a blitz. Again, Fuller was hammered. McKinnon is hammered. And he's in a battle with Scott Case, and down goes McKinnon on the bottom of that fracas. Fuller was really popped just as he let it go.
I'll tell you, and then Case hit McKinnon, and then McKinnon came back at Case. See an official down there without a hat. There's a flag down there. I think this has to be against McKinnon.
When you get back to the defensive play, and it was a good play to knock the ball away.
Unnecessary roughness, 25, defense.
It's against Atlanta.
Unnecessary roughness, 85, offense. After the play was over.
So we'll replay the down.
Well, that's one of those dumb penalties that they do. They have to see someone. And in this thing, they have to see the guy who starts it as the guy that they ought to call it. That's what happened to Fuller. But here's the thing we're talking about right here. See, the play's over. Now, Case hits him. Okay, now watch. Now, McKinnon comes back. The play's over. McKinnon hits him. And then Case hit him. So if Case's hit was late, it should be against Case. If not, it should be against McKinnon, but not on both guys.
They don't replay the down. I was incorrect. So it's 4th down, and Kevin Butler will try the field goal with Fuller holding. And he's good again. 2 for 2. That's all the points. And with 8:38 left to play in the first half, the Bears lead the Falcons 6-0. 6-0 with 8:38 left to play in the first half at Soldier Field. Kevin Butler will kick off, the rookie from Georgia.
Why would a kicker, Pat, have one red shoe and one blue shoe?
I don't.
I mean, do you guys have that thing like, you know, like you plant with the blue one and kick with the red one?
No.
And why would he wear sweatbands, you think, and roll his sleeves up? What do you,
Those are all
what do you
questions
think he
I
thinks
can't
he's
answer. Dan Wagoner slipped down just at the 20. This field had some ice in spots when they took the tarp off. There's a flag down on the play before the game, and it seems to be getting a little bit more treacherous all the time.
You know, talk about treacherous things. As we're watching Kevin Butler walk off the field, he's chewing tobacco, too. I imagine, you know, running down there, kicking the ball and trying to run down there. If someone
illegal block in the back, number 92, receiving team. First down.
Well, he's a good friend of the Bear quarterback who's not playing today, Jim McMahon. And you have to be a little bit different to run with McMahon.
Right, and then McMahon runs with the offensive line, and now Butler, who's a rookie, hangs out with the offensive line. That's why he chews in the back. See, he got the chewing tobacco, sleeves rolled up, all those things, and offensive pads on his arms, but he's still a kicker.
It's possible he could be a good guy and still be a kicker.
Yeah, right.
Archer gives to Riggs, and Riggs gets only a couple. Fensick up quickly to make the initial contact.
I'll tell you, the Bears did a real good job of playing into this thing. Watch Gary Fensick here is usually the weak safety. He walked up and went right into this position, and the Falcons ran right into him. Watch Fensick. He's usually back. He had just shifted up to this position. He's unaccounted for. See him right there? Boom! He's right in the hole and makes the tackle. That was a good defensive call. They ran right into it.
Riggs is 9 for 23. Got a yard, 2nd and 9 as Benson goes in motion. Again, it's Riggs. And again, he doesn't have much room. But he gets outside the 17-yard line, actually chased out of bounds about the 16 by Dave Durison.
You know, the Bears are doing an interesting thing here. It's the second time. Again, they brought Fensick up here. So he's a linebacker on the left side and put Durison back. That was done off a shift. It's usually Durison up and Fensick back. Whatever they do it, they both got there at the same time, Durison and Fensick.
Here comes William Perry out. Tyrone Keys takes his place. Perry hasn't developed as a pass rusher as yet. Keys has. They give again to Riggs. He breaks out of the arms of Hampton and breaks out of some more arms. To the 29 is Gerald Riggs, stopped by Frazier finally. But a first down, Atlanta.
Well, that's the thing about Gerald Riggs. You know, he's so strong. He weighs about 235 pounds, and he has some of the quick moves like a halfback. See those quick moves there? But the strength can get him through. The moves can get him to the outside and let him get first downs like that. Last week, he had 123 yards on 41 carries against the Rams. Said it was the hardest yards he ever had in his life.
He hasn't fumbled all year.
That's the most amazing thing.
It really is. They fake to Riggs. Archer tries to go out, chased by Hampton. The ball comes loose. Steve McMichael was out there chasing too. They were saying his arm was coming forward. You notice McMichael is wearing, well, the refrigerator's into it. McMichael is wearing a protective shield in his face mask. He got poked in the eye in practice. And he says pretty soon everybody's going to be wearing those.
Now watch Archer as he goes out here. He has the ball in his right hand. He's just pump faking, and he put the ball down there. Now that's a tough one. I don't know, because it really is a fumble. But then you can say, well, the ball was going forward. It really was. So it's an incomplete forward pass.
They say that, and it's second down. The pitch is back to Riggs. Riggs looking for some room, finds a little bit, and Hampton and Singletary are there to knock him out of bounds. Otis Wilson was there also. Yards passing for Atlanta, none. Rushing is pretty even.
Well, you know, that's one way to make a game short. Dan Henning said he wanted a short game, and the way to do it is don't throw the ball many times because the clock stops all the time when you go out of bounds or incomplete. Keep it on the ground. Although they will start throwing some of those bootlegs and sprint type things, I think, pretty soon.
One of them right here, I imagine. Durson showing blitz. Now he backs off. Here comes the blitz from the outside. Archer going deep. Incomplete. It was intended again for Charlie Brown. Archer was hit just as he let it go.
Charlie Brown has really been a disappointment for this Falcon team. They made the trade for him, and he's had a number of injuries. In fact, you can see all that padding he's had. He's had cracked ribs, and that's why he has all that stuff around there. But he's had some hamstring problems, ribs problems, and it really hasn't been a year for Charlie Brown.
Giacomo back to kick. Ortego is back again for the Bears. Line drive kick by Giacomo. Has to let it bounce. And the Falcons get down in a hurry. And down at the Bears 30. Wagner was again the first man down. So the Bears continue to lead the Atlanta Falcons 6-0. Some other scores. Detroit has taken the lead over Tampa Bay, 7-6. Miami 14-0 over Buffalo. Bears play in Miami next week. New Orleans 20-7 over Minnesota. Houston 17-0 over San Diego. Cleveland 10, Cincinnati. Cleveland 10, Cincinnati nothing. That's correct. First and 10 Bears. Peyton goes in motion. Alvin Thomas the lone setback. Fuller starts to come out of the pocket. Goes deep for McKinnon. Flag is down. Scott Case jumped for the ball. And the Falcons on their sideline and up here in the coach's booth are really upset by that call. I thought the glass was coming in, John.
That's a defensive coordinator, John Marshall.
Defense, first down.
Well, the Falcons were sitting next to us here when he saw that interference thing. He thought he had great coverage. Watch Case come over. He's going up for the ball. And then, boom, that flag comes down there. I don't know. Yeah, I just hate to see aggressiveness taken out here. I think he's going for the ball. I think he has the ball in his hand. I think that call stinks.
He's the only one who touched the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, the ball was in his hands. If a guy can't do that on defense, you can't play this game of football.
First and 10, and Peyton swings wide to the right. He's got some running room. Peyton dancing down the sideline. Peyton, touchdown. Boy, what a job he did. Touchdown run by Walter Payton. The 10th touchdown of the season for him.
And I'll tell you, I'll bet wide receiver Dennis McKinnon, number 85, made a heck of a block because half the group was congratulating Payton. The other half was congratulating McKinnon.
Butler for the extra point with Fuller holding.
Formation. They start out here just on a flip. Peyton comes in, holds the inside. Now he's able to sprint to the outside. Now he's going to get up this sideline here. Look at that little tightrope in. He did a heck of a job, about 5 steps there, keeping those feet in. And then he just puts on a little burner into the end zone.
I don't know if anybody else could have made that run.
Let's watch Dennis McKinnon here. Everyone saw this block. So he comes in here, he picks off Buddy Curry, the linebacker. Everyone saw that one because they were all congratulating him. That meant Curry couldn't get out there in pursuit, so Peyton couldn't get out there. Run into the wall. Whap!
That's the only thing he ran into.
I think these backs get so used to getting hit. You know, and you take a guy like Walter Payton doing it for 11 years, at the end of every run, you expect some contact.
His longest touchdown run of the season. He didn't run over anybody, but it sure was a pretty run.
You know, he's going for that seventh game 100-yard thing, as you mentioned before. I'm sure no matter what happens here today or what the score is, Mike Ditka is very interested that Walter Payton gets that record.
He has said many times, I want him to have it. Butler to Cliff Austin from the 4. Austin, good return, out to the 28-29 perhaps. Thomas Sanders made the stop. They mark it at the 27-yard line now. The Falcons take over. A couple of other scores. The Jets still 6-0 over New England second quarter. And Washington 17-10 over the Steelers, who've come back a bit. First down, Atlanta from their own 27. They give to Riggs. Riggs hammers his way outside the 35 to about the 37. And again, John Madden was saying before, he does finish off a run.
You know, I don't think there's anyone that understands Gerald Riggs' situation this year, being on a 2-9 team, being a great running back. Anyone understands that more than Walter Payton. Yeah, because he had been in that same situation for so many years. You know, you play and you're one of the best or one of the best in the league, and your team doesn't win.
2nd and 1. Riggs got 9. Riggs again, and he's got the first down. Flag down on the play, however, and it's again against Atlanta.
I'll tell you, on some of these penalties, I think Atlanta's gotten a bad break today.
Offense, still 2nd down.
Maybe not that one. They said that they let the 30-second clock go, but on that pass interference just before Payton's touchdown, that was a tough call against the Falcons. But you know, when you're 2-9,
you get them.
It seems like that. Yeah, that you get those. Just everything goes against you.
That makes it 2nd and 6 instead of first down. 4:51 left to play in the first half. Archer, the quarterback. Duerson sneaking up the blitz and does. Along with Otis Wilson. By the way, 2 of the Bears, in many people's opinion, best defensive players, Todd Bell and Al Harris, didn't sign. Yesterday was the deadline, and they still didn't sign.
You know, here's the thing that they did. You know, if you just look here, Duerson just walked up into the play. That's the 3rd time that they've done that, and then run right into where he walked up. You see him sneaking up, then he comes right in here, and Rick runs right into the hole that Duerson was sneaking up into.
So that makes it 3rd down and 9. They give to Joe Washington, and he gets only a yard, and they'll have to punt again. Steve McMichael and Mike Hartenstein were there to make the hit.
McMichael didn't even go down. You don't see linemen do that much the way McMichael did that. You just make a tackle, and you don't even go down yourself. What's 76? He's coming around on a stunt here. Watch him. He just makes the tackle, boom, throws him down, and then stays up. Well, he goes down a little, but he really doesn't get down. That's the difference between grass and artificial turf. That was grass. They'd love to roll around in it.
More to go back for the Bears. Kakamaro to kick. It'll be a bouncer. Gets away from Ortego. He gets away from it wisely. $13-0. The Bears over the Falcons. Don't forget, coming up Friday, college football here on CBS. Virginia against bowl-bound Maryland. And then on Saturday, Notre Dame. Troubled a bit this year against a team that many feel is the best in the country, the Miami Hurricanes, also bowl-bound. Ready to go at Soldier Field. 13-0 Bears leading, and they have the ball. Steve Fuller, the quarterback. Fake to Peyton. Willie Gault hangs with it. A good throw by Fuller.
I'll tell you, the Bears and Mike Ditka said it yesterday. They aren't afraid to let Peyton block anyone. And I think they just showed it on that play. Watch it. Peyton is going to come across here, and he's going to block number 77, Rick Bryan. Watch, they assign him to Bryan, who is the best defensive lineman of the Falcons. Now that has to be. Watch him. Here comes 77. Here comes Peyton. He's going to step in there, just sticks his helmet in there, gets pushed back. But he'll run the ball, he'll catch the ball, he'll throw it, but he'll still stand in there and block it against big defensive ends.
First down, Bears. Fuller back to throw again. Going deep for Gault. Gault hangs on, bounces at about the 1-yard line. That combination has moved it twice. Pickup of 50 yards.
And that's the one that Willie Gault needed. Willie Gault, if anything, was suffering from a little lack of confidence. But he needed that big play. You know, he's a speed guy. Everyone knows he has speed. He's had some trouble dropping some balls and so on, but he needed this one. The Bears needed to go on, but he needed it for his confidence.
First and goal for the Bears at the Atlanta 1. William Perry is in the Bear offensive lineup, the backfield. And he may be 300+ pounds, but he's an athlete.
I tell you, you know, he's always saying he can stuff the ball and so on a basketball. I can believe it. That's something. I mean, standing right in front of that table and jumping up with both feet and just keep doing it. And he got a lot of stuff he has to bring up there with him.
It's a 3-foot table.
Yeah. How'd you like to be the floor?
4 rushes, 6 yards, 1 TD.
And then he had 1 throw-in, too. Remember last week he threw Peyton in.
Or tried to. Perry, of course, is number 72. Touchdown. Up and over.
That new move, you know, he used to just run in there. Now he has this deal where he's going to dive. Boom, 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 whap! Both. He just goes right up over, gets that thing in it. How'd you like to be those guys blocking for him when he's going to fall on you?
Fuller holding Kevin Butler for the extra point. Good. 20-0.
I know Jim Covert, the left tackle, was saying when he's coming to my side, I'm just going to get down low. Covert's down there on that side. He's so low you can't even see him. And the refrigerator's going right on over him. He has a land on there. You know, you talk about dives and Olympics and all this. This here could be the shortest dive in history. Just up, boom, just fall, and you're on in. Telling all the guys about that one. He's saying, remember how Marcus Allen did it? I watched Marcus Allen do it. I did it just like him.
You talk about his popularity and the way he's captured the imagination. Well, you could look around the stadium and you could see that. Last week, they had him for an autograph session here in Chicago in one of the suburbs. And 10,000 people showed up.
That's that's the thing, you know, and I think that ought to show the National Football League something too. That that they do. They like something. I mean, they like character. They like characters. They like fun things. I think they like celebration. And we've legislated so many things out of it. And here comes this guy, the refrigerator, and they put him in the backfield, and he's captured the imagination of everyone.
He really has. You remember, of course, Red Grange, the famous galloping ghost, who was part of this Bear franchise and the development. Now they call the refrigerator the galloping roast. Cliff Austin on the return. In the second half of the doubleheader here on CBS today, most of you will see the Philadelphia Eagles visit the Dallas Cowboys, a crucial game for both of those teams. Some of you will see the Giants against the St. Louis Cardinals, and others will see the Green Bay Packers against the Rams. The NFC Eastern standings, and you can see how important those games are. Philadelphia is certainly not out of it. They won 5 out of the last 6, and Dallas trying to regroup. Green Bay and the Rams. Check your local listings. Rams need to get back on track. Archer outside of Riggs. Chased by William Perry and caught from behind. You think he can't run?
Now, I'll tell you, there is a great athletic move. They can talk about the things he does in offense, but this is where he's going to make. Watch him start on the pass rush. Now he's going to come right down the line. Turn right, but watch him sprint here. He sees Riggs. He gets out there. Now, that is a heck of a play. I mean, that's a heck of a play for any defensive tackle. And I think people say, well, he's not much on defense. Baloney. He makes things happen, this guy does.
Archer back to throw. High over the head of Charlie Brown. Stacy Bailey, by the way, was taken to the dressing room to have his hand looked at and has not returned. Anthony Allen has taken his place, number 85. Archer, 1 out of 10 for a gain of 1. Hard to win in the NFL with that kind of passing.
That's a tough thing, and that's what makes Riggs' running all the more amazing. That they lost Steve Bartkowski, of course the Falcons did. They really don't have much of a passing game. Everyone just has the key on Riggs.
Archer back to throw. Batted away by Fensick. Handed for Charlie Brown. It was covered by Mike Richardson.
Well, Fensick has one glove on and not on the other hand. He just has one of those hands gloved. Let's see if he knocks it down with the glove hand or the other one. Nope, the other one. See that? He knocked it down with the skin. Look at that. I like that. A little deal going. You got one glove on, one glove off. He's a good player, Gary.
Oh, yeah, has been. More to go back deep for the Bears. Giacomo. Punt for Atlanta. Another line drive. Handled by the upman Durison. Durison fumbles, and the Falcons look like they might have recovered. Yes, they did. Ken Weisenhut is the man who made the recovery.
Today in the NFL, you hardly ever see a short man ever get a punt return. You have one deep man, and sometimes you put another guy back there. That time, Durison came up in front of the return man and caught that ball, and that's because it was such a short punt, and he just let the ball go right out his arms.
Falcons at the Bear 45, out of the huddle quickly with 50 seconds left to play in the first half. It's trailing 20-0. They do have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. White Shoes Johnson in motion. They go right to Riggs. Go to the right side. Otis Wilson wraps him up after a gain of 1. Don't forget at the half, joined Brendan Irv with scores and highlights.
Brought out by Wilson and Marshall.
Some considered his potential legendary, although it never quite matched up except for 2 brief moments on the field. Irv Cross has the story of Dwayne Thomas on his Legends of the Game.
Yeah, Gary Fensick is happy today. Yale beat Harvard yesterday, in case you hadn't heard. And, of course, Fensick went to Yale.
That doesn't make you happy, though, does it?
Well, no, my son Mike's at Harvard.
Don't forget Thanksgiving Day. The NFL today begins our coverage on Thanksgiving Day with Home for Thanksgiving. That starts at 3:30 Eastern Time. Who went home? Let's, well, guess. He doesn't look much different, does he? And I think I know who he was.
Yep.
He comes from the Chicago area. Him, I wouldn't recognize.
I think everyone ought to write in and guess who these people are. I have no idea who that guy is. Probably some All-American running back from Ohio.
Somehow I doubt it. This is Joe Washington. He slips down as he breaks into the secondary in front of Fensick. Another timeout called by the Falcons. They have one remaining.
Brought down by Fensick. You know, the one thing you think of here is that with 40 seconds left to go and the ball on the 35, that the Falcons have to throw the ball. And they run a couple times here, and you ought to think you ought to get the ball up the field and throw it, but they just haven't had much success in that area.
Dan Henning over on the sideline talking with Dave Archer. The fellow next to him is Gary Petz. He used to be a guard with the New York Jets, of course. And when they practiced against the Bear defense this week, and they wanted somebody to play the part of the refrigerator, that's who they picked.
Gary Petz, yeah, an old coach. That's what happens to old linemen who become coaches. Then they put you in the backfield to give them a look for the refrigerator. He's also the guy who signals in the plays to Archer from Dan Henning. They said one of the reasons they have Petz doing that is he's easy to find on the sideline. I mean, he'll spread out there. You know, you can see him.
Bob Holly is the other Atlanta quarterback after Bartkowski went down in that game against the 49ers. Wisenhut lines up finally as the flanker. And indeed, they will have to throw it. Most of the running has been away from, that was Hampton who put the tag on him, and most of the sprint outs have been away from Richard Dent. And that's easy to understand.
Well, I think that's the thing that they want to do, is to get away from Dent, and of course it's to Archer's right, being a right-handed quarterback. But you know, again, when you're 2-9 and you haven't scored any points and things are going badly, they finally get into field goal range, and then they drop themselves out of it with that play.
That was William Perry who made sure that Archer stayed down. Second down, 20. Charlie Brown, covered by Frazier. Archer had all kind of pressure coming at him, led by Wilbur Marshall.
See, Dan Henning, he gives the call, the play here. He's telling Gary Petz. Petz is giving a signal. Pass. Yeah, that one right. See, the first thing he says, pass. Then he gives a formation and then the pattern. Then he starts shaking his head like he doesn't like it. He said, nah, I don't like that one. I hope Archer didn't see him shake his head.
Three wide receivers come to the left this time. Johnson in the middle, Brown on the outside. Anthony Allen. Now they change places. The give is to Washington. Nope. And that'll do it for the first half. Now the Bears call a timeout, I believe. Timeout Atlanta. Beg your pardon. Was not the Bears. Jim McMahon. By the way, well, I'll get back to that. Here was his dress last week when he didn't play against the Cowboys. The boots, the jeans, the pink shirt, the hat. Mike Ditka didn't approve of that attire on the sideline, so he said, even though you're not going to play, you're going to be in uniform come Sunday. And he is.
He wouldn't let him wear what he wanted to wear. Mike Ditka made him wear what he wanted him to wear, but he still gives it that individual look. You know, he still has something there. He got the cap. Now, he always wears those sunglasses because That's a prescription type thing.
He has to wear glasses, prescription sunglasses. When he was 6 years old, he had a fork stuck in his eye. And the injury never quite healed, so he has to wear those glasses.
But I saw him out here before. Excuse me, Pat.
Yeah.
You know, he had like one long sleeve and one short sleeve, and he had sweatbands on, and he had quite an outfit. I mean, he looked like something you'd see flopping around on Halloween.
He takes advantage of all the daylight, I'll tell you that.
Yesterday, he was out there in a pair of leather pants. Tried to talk me into getting a pair of them. I don't think I'd ever do that one.
I'm glad. Vincent with the interception. Stays on his feet. This will be the last play of the first half. Vincent lateral to Mike Richardson. Richardson's going to toss it to somebody else, and does. Ball's still hot. Football is fun in Chicago in 1985.
I think one of the things here that hurt Dave Archer is Charlie Brown kind of stopped running. He slows up, and he should have just kept going, but Vincent gets the ball. Now, here's where it is fun. He says, they're going to tackle me here. I'll lateral. Richardson said, I'll take it a while. Well, let's see if I can find something. Yeah, I'll throw it back there. Fumble it. Pick it up. Let's go. Hey, fun. Refrigerator. We'll get a snack.
A joyous first half if you're a Chicago Bear. 20-0 they lead. Chicago Bear. 20-0 they lead.
Hi, welcome back to New York. I'm Brent Musburger along with Irv Cross. Started out as though the Atlanta Falcons were going to play the Bears tough, but now Chicago has taken command in Soldier Field. Jim McMahon, of course, you heard John Madden and Pat Summerall just talking about him on the sidelines. That's the approved garb of Coach Mike Ditka. Steve Fuller on the roll. This is where he is the most dangerous on the move to Emory-Moorhead, but the Bears, of course, settling for a couple of field goals early. Had a 6-0 lead. Then it was Mr. Payton early.
Well, he does a tremendous job staying in bounds. Watch him skip along the sidelines there. Walter Payton going in from 40 yards out for another Payton touchdown.
What do you think? William Perry might go to the Pro Bowl as the designated runner inside the 5?
It's incredible. You know, Brent, he weighs in twice a week every week. You know, if he comes in under 310, gets a $1,000 bonus. Tuesday and Thursday, $2,000 a week he picked up. Can you believe it?
Tampa Bay and Detroit, this game featured one of the hardest hits of the season. And fortunately, Detroit quarterback Eric Hipple was not serious. Yeah, we hear you down in Tampa. You want Bo Jackson. You want that first-round choice. Now, take a look at what happens here. Scott Brantley measures Hipple, and he knocks his helmet off. He was sidelined for a few series, then he came back and he's fine. How is Steve Young doing, Irv?
I tell you, he's been spending most of his time running with the ball, Brent. You know, there's some question down there about the strength of his arm, but he is an excellent runner, and he's, you know, just scrambling for his life here.
He's passed for 33 yards for Lehman Bennett and rushed for another 33. James Jones, kind of an unheralded running back for Detroit. He had their score in that game. 7-6 Lions lead the Buccaneers right now. Miami over Buffalo. It is 14-7. Danny Marino with 2 touchdowns, hit 11 of 14, 15 to Johnson, and 11 yards to Reed in that game. Now, the Jets and New England, a battle of the field goals. Steve Grogan sprained his knee in this game and has gone to the sidelines, and so Tony Eason is back quarterbacking the Patriots right now, and the Jets with the lead there in the third quarter. Minnesota and New Orleans. Now, the Vikings are trying to come back, but Earl Campbell's had a big day, Earl.
Had a big day. Here he goes in for a 4-yard touchdown run. But the most significant thing about Campbell's play today is that until this game, he's only gained 47 yards rushing in any one game. He's a great back, and he's trying to come back.
And he scored his first touchdown as a Saint. Meanwhile, San Diego and Houston, that high-powered Charger offense, shut down. The Oilers with the lead, 17-7. Oliver Luck is quarterbacking the Oilers today because Warren Moon injured that hip last week. Cleveland and Cincinnati. Gary Danielson has just thrown a 70-yard touchdown, and the Browns open up a little daylight. They put Danielson back in and benched young Bernie Kosar. The Browns, of course, have the best defense in the AFC Central, and they're winning a big one over Cincinnati right now. And Pittsburgh and Washington, this has been a dandy. The Redskins leading on a Mark Mosley field goal late, but on the opening kickoff, it was again the Redskins specialty team.
Boy, I tell you, Jill Theismann told me yesterday that this Redskin team has the ability to rise to occasion, and you find unexpected players coming with the big plays. Here, Ken Jenkins, a free agent out of Bucknell, goes 95 yards on the opening kickoff return.
And from the 2, Rogers bolted in. Now watch the specialty team here. Otis Wansley blocks this punt. And the Redskins were back in business again. Remember those 2 onside kicks on Monday night? And from there, Jay Schrader found Clint Didier, and it was an 18-yard scoring strike for the Redskins. Scott Campbell, the former Purdue star, then rallied the Steelers with 2 touchdown passes. This one to Louis Lips. He also hit Rich Ehrenberg. And then with time running out, well, Mosley kicked a 29-yard field goal, and it is 20-17, Redskins with the lead. The NFL Today continues on CBS after these messages from your local stations. Welcome back to our New York studios. You know, in some military schools, a traditional method of imposing discipline on a troublemaker is to subject him to the silent treatment. And back in the early 1970s, a pro football player became infamous for the way he imposed the silent treatment on everyone, even his teammates and coaches. Now, in his Legends of the Game series, Irv Cross pays a visit to the man who was known as the Greta Garbo of the NFL.
Do you know this man? Here are some clues. He was a #1 draft choice for a successful NFL team. And in his first 2 seasons, he led that team to the Super Bowl on both occasions. The following year, he was traded.
Hello? Don Jones, how are you?
It wasn't because he couldn't play anymore. If anything, he was just approaching his prime. He was traded because the Dallas Cowboys could no longer tolerate Dwayne Thomas's silence. He landed in San Diego, where he suited up for only 1 game before he was cut. He just didn't seem to fit in. He went on to do short stints in Washington and the World Football League. Before 28 years of age, Dwayne Thomas retired from pro football.
Everyone wants their life to be like a Roger Staubach. Yeah, storybook, perfect. Yeah, every player. But it doesn't work out that way.
Dwayne, what was behind your silent season in 1971?
What I was concerned about was making more money. I was in the pursuit of happiness.
As a rookie in 1970, Thomas established himself as the brightest young running back in pro football.
I could actually guarantee Dallas at that point 100 yards every single game. I didn't think any team could hold me under 100 yards per game.
He signed a 3-year contract with a promise from Cowboy management that they would renegotiate it upwards if he performed well.
Well, Irv, I don't like to use the word renegotiate. I like modify.
Okay. But when Dallas refused to modify Dwayne's contract, Thomas refused to speak through the entire 71 season, and not just to writers and reporters.
I would have probably suspended any other player that would have acted as he did. And the reason that we could tolerate him is that he never made any errors when he went on the field. So obviously he's listening and he was studying. The result was we were able to go to the Super Bowl, but it was almost unreal the way he was that particular year.
In Super Bowl VI, Dwayne Thomas led Dallas to their first ever world championship. But while his teammates celebrated their win and exuded their joy to CBS locker room analyst Tom Brookshire, when it was Dwayne's turn, he broke his season of silence, only to utter 1 word in response to a Brookshire question. It was his last word as a Dallas Cowboy.
Dwayne, if we tried to summarize Dwayne Thomas and put it all in a capsule, would it be safe to say that Dwayne Thomas is a man who believes that his performance is his word, and that's what really counts with him?
Evidently.
And that man wants to be?
A stand-up comedian.
Irv, I'll tell you, he had one of the greatest lines of all time. Prior to that Super Bowl game, the writers were crowding around. They had to have something. They asked him about the importance and the significance of the Super Bowl, and he said, if the Super Bowl is so big, why do they play it every year? It's a good question. Now, this Thanksgiving, starting at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to broadcast a special edition of the NFL Today, Home for Thanksgiving. And while most Americans will be home with their families dining on turkey, we're going to bring you the Dallas Cowboys at home in Texas Stadium, where they'll hope to feast on another bird, the St. Louis Cardinals. They met earlier this year. It was on a Monday night in St. Louis. The Cowboys were heavily favored, but the Cardinals came alive with their performance of the season. They stormed in on Danny White. And then Neil Lomax, who has struggled all year, had this pass deflected to Pap Tilley, who took it in for the touchdown, and the Cardinals roll 21-10. So again, we will start our coverage at 3:30 Eastern Time this Thanksgiving Thursday. And now let's send you back to the stadium and the game you're enjoying on CBS.
20-0. Chicago over Atlanta at the half at Soldier Field, frigid Soldier Field. It seems to be getting colder and colder. Not to the Bears, though. It's 20-0. We talked about before the game, John, about whether or not there would be a letdown. Now, the Bears haven't given up a touchdown in the last 6 quarters now, so there's been no letdown.
I don't think so. You know, and just seeing this Bear team and the way they play, the way they practice, the way they're coached by Mike Ditka and his staff, I don't think they know that word letdown. I think, as you said at the end there, you know, it's Chicago Bear football. It's fun football. It's not work to them. It's not something that, you know, is drudgery. They don't want to do it. They're out there and having fun.
Well, I don't care how many times you see Walter Payton. You have to marvel at the things that he can do. Let's take a look at the rushing race. Well, first of all, let's take a look at this run.
Well, of course, it was a flip, you know, to the outside, and that's the thing that Payton does best, that sweep to the outside, then turn it up. But watch these moves here that he takes about 5 steps there, just staying inbound, tight roping down that sideline into the end zone. He's had those moves for a long time.
Here's the way it stood coming in. Here's the way it stands now as far as we know. Riggs the leader. Payton is second. Freeman McNeil of the Jets third. Marcus Allen of the Raiders is fourth. Payton, as you know, is going for his 7th consecutive 100-yard gain. And I'm sure that Mike Ditka's going to leave him in there until if he can get it.
Well, I'm sure that he'll do that. And that offensive line of the Bears knows, you know, that where Payton is in relationship to Riggs, and they want him to beat him.
Well, Payton has got those good moves you just looked at, and he's always had pretty good moves. When he was 17.
Mary Jones, Mississippi. Steve Walter Payton from Mississippi.
Still loves to dance, doesn't he?
Even had the sweatbands on there.
Is sponsored by Rich Smooth Meisterbrow, the beer that only tastes expensive. Wendy's, where you always get your choice of fresh toppings. And by United Airlines. You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies.
Ready to start the second half at Soldier Field, with the Bears dominating totally in the first half and leading 20-0. Atlanta did get a couple of tough, crucial penalties that hurt them considerably. One a pass interference, and one a penalty that took them out of a first down. The Bears turned it into something. That's something that they've been able to do, though.
Well, that's the thing. And then the other thing is those yards passing. That, you know, Gerald Riggs is one thing and rushing is one thing, but you still have to be able to throw the ball, or at least the threat of throwing the ball.
Butler misses the kickoff. It bounces to one of the up men. Ken Wisenhut. He is popped down at about the 33-yard line by Keith Ortego. With the shoving and pushing going on. There's one Falcon over down in front of the Bear bench. That's a dangerous place.
Well, he was going after Butler.
Was he?
Yeah. The kicker got in a little action down there, a little fisticuff. He was out there. Now watch, he's really not in on the tackle. It's going to be on the other side of the tackle. So we see the tackle here. Now, he doesn't have anything to do with that. But it comes in later, right up after that is when he got into it.
Archer is hit just as he lets it go, and it's picked off by Frazier. Leslie Frazier with a convoy in front of him. Headed down the far side of the field. Frazier still on his feet. Finally tackled from behind by Billy White-Shoes Johnson and Jeff Van Note. But the Bears get it deep in Falcon territory.
Well, you know, we were talking to Frazier yesterday. We said, how do you like playing out there all that man-to-man? He said, I'll tell you, if they rush like that, he said, I like it. He said, I can cover. He said, but I can't cover out there for a long time. But if they give me a pass rush, he said, then I can cover anyone. I'll tell you, that's how he got that interception that time. Fuller was hit just as he threw the ball.
Pressure. First and 10 from the Falcon 23. Calvin Thomas. And Peyton hammers over the left side. He had 67 yards in the first half. That should get him up to about 70. Mike Gann made the stop.
And I'm sure that Walter Payton is going to stay in there. He's going to get his 100 or more, or stay in there and, you know, trying to get it anyway. And I'm sure the way the Bears offense is blocking and Walter Payton runs it, he's going to get his 100 yards today.
They gave him 2, so it's 2nd and 8. Ball at the Falcon 21. Bears leading 20-0. Thomas sets up in front of Payton. Payton again. First down.
Isn't it something when the other team knows that they're going to run them and they still can't do anything about it? I mean, he runs one, and then he runs another times and just gets first downs or creates short yardage situations.
Remember what you were talking about, finishing off a run? You were talking about Riggs, but watch this.
I'll tell you, and I don't think anyone finishes off a run better than Walter Payton. You know, down there at the end, just putting his head down, keeping those feet moving, getting that next yard or two. But then the amazing thing is this guy's been doing it for 11 years in this league.
Unbelievable. 148 straight starts. Missed one game because of injury. Payton again, left side to the 10. Quite a battle going on in Pittsburgh. The Redskins 20. Pittsburgh has come back to 17 there in the third quarter. That's a very important game for both those teams who are contenders. Understand that their all-pro guard, Russ Grimm, who has had to move out to tackle, was injured, and we don't know the seriousness of it so far, but that would be a key loss if they lost Russ Grimm.
Especially after losing his partner's left tackle, Joe Jacoby.
Here's Payton again. Inside the 10, lunges to about the 9 before Dan Benish brought him down.
You know, I think these fans start to get so excited when this Bear team gets down towards the goal line because they start thinking the refrigerator. You know, the more, you know, it starts building up about the 20, then the 15, then the 10.
That's Dan Benish, who is the injured player, who has developed into quite a player, signed as a free agent. But he's in pain right now. 12:29 left to play in the third quarter. The Bears at the door again and leading 20-0. Pat Summerall, John Madden, Soldier Field. By the way, if you've been wondering what's wrong with Matt Suhey, he was hit in the back, has a sore back. Happened early in the game. That's why Calvin Thomas has been doing all the playing. But Suhey could play if he were needed. It doesn't look like he will be. 2nd and 8. Dan Benish is out. And Woolard Goff has taken his place. Fuller going for McKinnon. Just over his head. Wendell Kaysen, the defender. And Henning. Trying to stay warm, and with a score like this, that's even more difficult. Again, a heck of a battle going on in Pittsburgh between the Redskins and the Steelers. Right now, Washington ahead 20-17. 3rd and 8 here. Payton goes in motion. Calvin Thomas struggles to about the 2. Buddy Curry tripped him up with help from Scott Case.
And these fans don't want to go for the field goal here, Pat. It's going to be short of a first down, obviously short of a touchdown. They want to go with the refrigerator and go for the first.
Here, they stopped the refrigerator.
They were going, the refrigerator was all ready to go, and they said, no,
Mike Ditka's the first one to stop him all year.
No fridge. Now so he goes and puts the jacket back on.
4th down. It looks like they need about 3. Bears leading 20-0. Fuller on the sprint out. Looking end zone, looking himself, and hammered by John Rady. And the Falcons hold him.
I'll tell you, that was good coverage by the Falcon defense down there in the end zone on the right-hand side there. And then Fuller didn't have anyone to throw to, and by that time, the rush got to him. Watch him. He's going to sprint out here to the left, and he's coming up. He's pulling up here to pass, and there's no one to throw to. Good coverage. He had to pump. Now he had to start to run, and then when he came back to the inside, of course, he gets hit and then swarmed, and then didn't have a chance to do anything. That was good coverage out there by the right corner.
Falcons take over deep in their own territory at their own 4-yard line. I believe the Falcons have a new quarterback. Bob Holly hands it to Riggs. Riggs hit right at the line of scrimmage. Mike Singletary made the hit.
Well, now what these Bear fans are yelling for is a defensive touchdown. Remember last week in this same situation, Hampton came in, knocked the ball down. Richard Dent picked it up or caught it in the air for a touchdown. Dent has 2 interceptions, and Frazier was saying yesterday, Leslie Frazier said it's tough enough, but he said, here's the guy. He said on the plane, he's saying, I'm going to catch you guys.
And he said he called my name, too. Holly, the quarterback. They take too much time, I'm sure. The 30-second clock had expired.
Delay, number 8, offense, at the distance, still 2nd down.
The Bears have been tough to score on any time, but especially in the second half have they been tough. They really play with a lot of confidence these days, don't they? 2nd down. Riggs gets a little bit of breathing room, gets outside the 5 before Finsick and Otis Wilson take him down.
I think this is one place now in Chicago with the Bears and this year that the defense gets as much cheering as the offense does. And when they get a team down like this whole place, you know, stop them, something, they can see 2 points, and they want it here. As we look at Otis Wilson here last week in the second half against the Cowboys, he started barking like a dog. And then all the defense started barking like dogs. The Cowboys came up to the line of scrimmage.
Dan Hampton has just been helped to the sideline. The Bears all-pro defensive tackle who had a bad shoulder. Holly is hit in the end zone. If they want that defensive touchdown, it's going to be close. The ball was loose. Mike Hartenstein picked it up. Richard Dent came from the other side to make the hit that caused that fumble by Holly. Not a touchdown, but they get it at the 3.
Right, it's Richard Dent. He's going to come from the outside right here, the backside of Holly. Right there. See, he backed into him. He got his shoulder, whipped his arm around, knocked the ball. Dent came from that side like he was shot out of a cannon. Whoa, did he come from that backside? Holly, of course, didn't see him, nor did he feel him.
So it's 1st and goal.
Watch it here. You can see him coming. Come right out of the screen right there. Boom, boom.
Thomas and Payton are the running backs. Moorhead was the man who moved. Payton goes in motion. To Calvin Thomas, stand-up touchdown. try for the extra point. Fuller will hold.
Calvin Thomas gets this touchdown. Here's Calvin Thomas. But Walter Payton, now he goes this way. That takes the defense watching him. Then Calvin Thomas comes back this way. But everyone is always going to be watching Payton, so they use him as a decoy. Watch him go in motion. He goes that way. See the defense slide that way? And then, boom, they just come back and hit Thomas back on the other side.
27-0, Bears. That's the situation here at Soldier Field. 27-0 Bears about to kick off. Washington has scored. Leads the Steelers 27-17. Atlanta been able to get on track altogether in the air. Pittsburgh with a record of 6-5, fighting for the Central Division lead of the AFC, and Washington trying to stay in contention in that game. And many of you are going to be switched to that contest right now. Walter Payton, of course, sitting on the bench right now, but trying to tie O.J. Simpson and Earl Campbell for the most consecutive 100-yard rushing game. And the Bears will probably leave him in there when they get the ball back. Wisnott was the man in motion. They try to run the counter play to Riggs, and he is caught from the backside by Wilbur Marshall. That play, which was so successful for Washington a couple of years ago, is now being defensed like that.
And that's exactly how they're doing it. They're catching it from the backside. As the backside starts to pull, you see the guard and tackle, you just get in behind them and let them bring you right to the receiver, or right to the ball carrier, I mean. And that's what Marshall did on that thing. He was there, the guard and the tackle started to pull, he just got right in their hip pocket.
The average yards on first down for Atlanta, just 1. For Chicago, 10-4. Second and 11, they lost one there. When you only average 1 yard on the first down, you're going to have a lot of numbers in the L column. Falcons had to take a timeout, so they'll have 2 left. Dan Henning talking with Bob Holly. Coming next, many of you will see Philadelphia with their record of 6-5, and Dallas struggling a bit. Losers at their last 2 out of 3. The Giants will go to St. Louis to play the Cardinals. Check your local listings. Here's the way it stands in the Eastern Division. Dallas and the Giants tied for first at 7-4. Philadelphia and Washington at 6-5, and Washington leading Pittsburgh by 10 the last time we checked. St. Louis, a very, very hard team to understand, the bottom of the division. And then some of you will see Green Bay at 5-6 and not out of it against the Rams, who've had troubles of late. Here it's 2nd and 11 for Atlanta. Dan Hampton, by the way, you see number 99, lined up at left defensive end, back in the game after they helped him off in the last series. Here's Riggs. Chased by Marshall, hit by Duerson, breaks that tackle, and hammers away before Finsick and Otis Wilson. Richard Dent finally get him down. A gain of 7 by Gerald Riggs.
You know, this would have to be a tough thing. I mean, it's a tough thing for any player to play on a team that's not doing well, but to know that you're one of the best and you're leading the league in rushing, and you just can't get those wins, and then you don't get the notoriety, you don't get the attention, you don't get picked for the all-pro teams and so on. You know, it has to be a tough deal for Gerald Riggs.
3rd and 4. They give again to Riggs. And he hammers and finished off enough to get the first down. Duerson and Finsick got him down. First down, Atlanta. Injury report from Atlanta. Stacy Bailey does not have a broken hand. We don't know if he'll be back. Benish was hit in the head, stunned. We don't know if he'll be back. Washington had a bruised thigh, and he won't be back. Line of scrimmage, the Atlanta 48. 1st and 10 Falcons. Riggs breaks into the secondary. Riggs barrels through Finsick. Another first down. Gain of 14.
There's one thing, this Bear defense is having a little lapse right now. I think, you know, they got that emotion up. They got everything whipped up down on the other line. Then they got that score. And now they've come back, and they're really not keeping it up. I'm sure that right now they're saying in that huddle, hey, come on, let's get it going again. We're starting to lose it, guys.
Riggs got 14. He remains the lone setback. Wisenhut in motion. And again, they give it to Riggs. He hammers into the secondary again. He could deal out a little punishment. You better be ready when he arrives.
And he had a good block that time by his right guard, Joe Pellegrini. From the right side, they got a good push. Watch your right guard there. He starts to get a good push on McMichael. You see him drive in there and stay with him, and then he gets him turned right there, and then Riggs is able to come right off that block. Of course, and then, as you say, he finishes it off. Boom, boom.
Dan Henning was saying last night that he has that great ability when he decides to make his move, and it's something you can't coach. Got very quick feet. You make a quick adjustment. He's getting a rest right now. Holly back to throw. Trying to. Finds Arthur Cox, who gets to the Bear 20. Mike Singletary made the stop as they give Riggs a rest.
You know, that was a play that they had made a big play on in the first half, that pass to Arthur Cox. Remember, but they had a penalty on that. It was called back, but they gained about 30 or 40 yards. And I'm surprised they don't go back to that. A kind of a delay thing to the tight end.
Riggs tried to come back in the game. Cliff Austin has taken his place. He's getting up close to that 100-yard figure again. Austin whirled down to about the 19. Gary Finsick up quickly to make the stop.
I'll tell you, that right guard, Joe Pellegrini, is really doing a job on Steve McMichael. This is one of the... Watch the right guard, the left-hand side of the screen here. Watch him drive out. Boom, boom. He gets a little help from the center. They just put McMichael right on his back. I'll tell you, that's pretty good blocking in that offensive line.
Pellegrini was a defensive player with the Jets. They've changed into offense. Riggs is back. 3rd and 4. Crowd coming to life and encouraging that defense. Riggs is hit by Richard Dent first behind the line of scrimmage.
And they're really doing a job on Steve McMichael. That time it was Bill Fralick. The right tackle got McMichael and put him down. I think they have a little help here. Pellegrini starts, and then see Fralick come down. Now watch Fralick, 79, turn it off right there at the end. The two of them. McMichael's getting up saying, what the heck did I ever do to these guys?
One of the very few times you'll see Dent on this side of the Bear defense. He usually comes strictly from the right. They're going for it. And you'd have to guess it would be Riggs, and they don't make it. Dan Hampton led the surge. He was there first.
Now, and again, it was Dent also. It was Hampton and Dent. Dent came down from the outside. Singletary's in there hitting helmets with the other guys. Come on, get fired up, huh?
27-0 Bears. $27-0. The Bears trying to go to 12-0. Peyton, 17 carries, 81 yards, trying to get 7 100-yard games in a row. Fuller comes out of everything. Scrambles for about 9 yards. Buddy Curry tripped him up. They had him and he got away. Mike Ditka says, when he's continuously asked about Fuller instead of McMahon, he says, I have complete confidence in Steve Fuller.
He says the Bears can win with Steve Fuller. You know, it's interesting. This Bear team, to me, is a lot like the 49er team last year, where just everything they do, they have it going. Remember last year, even when Montana went out, Kavanaugh came in. Right. They still won. McMahon goes out, Fuller comes in, and they still function effectively.
2nd and 1. Peyton got only about a yard. Al Richardson made sure he stayed down.
You see Peyton at the end of that run fight, he even tried to stick the ball another half yard up. You have a 27-0 lead, and you're still fighting for inches.
If the Bears do get to 12-0, it would be the 3rd best ever. Only the Bears of 1934 and the Dolphins of 1972 have done better than 12-0. First down. 2:38 remaining, 3rd quarter. Bears working on their 2nd consecutive shutout. Detroit 16-6 over Tampa Bay and trying to stay in the race, at least for a wild card spot. Buffalo is making a comeback. Miami is still leading, however, 17-14. The Jets 13-3 over New England. They're in the 4th quarter. New Orleans 23-13 over Minnesota. McKinnon were the wide receivers. They're looking for McKinnon, looking for Marjoram, rather. Incomplete. Wendell Cason, the defender. San Diego has made a comeback, a drastic comeback, 21-20, and they lead. Cleveland beating Cincinnati 24-6. The Browns trying to get into a tie in the AFC Central with Pittsburgh and would, should they lose. Second and 10. Bears at their own 29. Hand off Peyton. Fighting and struggling. Getting out to the 33 before John Rady brought him down.
You know, I noticed in there at the left guard, you can see him right there, number 75. Stephen Humphreys is playing now. I wonder, you know, Bortz got hurt earlier. I saw him limp once, and I wonder if he has been injured, and that's why Humphreys is in there, because that could be a big loss to the Bears. Bortz, I think, is a real good guard. He did a fine job last week against Randy White.
Sure did. We'll check. McKinnon goes in motion. Fuller. Slight rollout. Gets it out to Peyton. And that lunge got him a first down.
I tell you, he darn near fumbled the ball. Did you see what he did? He put the ball in his left hand, and he made one of those hand slaps on the guy with his right hand. That's a rush, you know, the type of thing that the defensive linemen do. Let's see if we can see it here again. He starts out here. It's a rollout by Fuller. The first back out was Peyton. But watch him put the ball in the left hand. Watch him just slap with the right hand and knock him on by, and then go for a couple more yards. He lost the ball as a result of it, though, didn't he?
That was Thomas Benson who slammed him down. First down, Bears, their own 39. Gain of 8 on that last play. Scott Case finally got him down, and he ought to be close. He's got it. 102. Excuse me, 102. That ties the record. Dennis Gentry is taking his place. less to say about this ovation. 20 carries, 102 yards for Walter Payton. Before he's through, he'll own all the rushing records.
Teleflora presents Thanksgiving.
I'm anxious to see what your Donald is like.
David, Daddy.
Nothing warms up a holiday dinner like Teleflora's Thanksgiving bouquet. A floral centerpiece in a beautiful stoneware gift.
Sit here.
There's a run again. You see that block? Calvin Thomas made a nice block, but Payton just waited and let everything get, and then boom, he went and got his 100.
Now Gentry carries. Gentry is hit in the backfield by Rich Bryan and lost perhaps a couple. Walter Payton's place in NFL history occupies a lot of floors. Career yards, career rushes, yards in a game, 100-yard games, 1,000-yard seasons, and now consecutive 100-yard games, 7.
You know, and that doesn't even mention the other things he does, like, you know, the blocks that he makes that spring other people, the pass protections he makes to help a quarterback, the passes that he himself has thrown.
Or what kind of an individual he is. Gentry to the line of scrimmage. Mike Pitts. The Bears 12-0 played December the 2nd at Miami. And the Indianapolis Colts come here in a big Saturday game, which you'll see on CBS. December the 14th at Giant Stadium to play the Jets. And then they finish with the Detroit Lions here at Detroit, I'm sorry. So 3 out of 4 are on the road. Only the Colts left here. And then, of course, after that, the playoffs. Gentry was the man in motion. Fuller out of the shotgun. To Gentry. If it had not been for the pressure, I think Fuller might have had another touchdown pass.
You know, he had that same one to Gentry. The same thing happened to him last week against the Cowboys. He had Gentry open deep down the right side, and he got pressure by the Cowboys and didn't get it to him.
It was the same pattern.
It was the same pattern, yeah. Same guy, same deal, same side, everything.
Buford has had a rather quiet day.
Well, he has a sweat bands on there to, you know, keep the sweat from going down his arms to his hands.
Anthony Allen back deep.
Maybe that's just to hold his forearms here.
Buford off the side of the foot this time. But it turns out to be a good kick. Goes out of bounds inside the 10. Hang time of 4-4. 35-yard kick. Falcons take over, and we'll return to Soldier Field after this word from your local station.
Coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Toyota, who reminds you to get more from life. Buckle up. Who could ask for anything more? And by light beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer, and less.
13-18 left to play. Bears leading 27-0.
Well, they have the right idea. They just can't keep that thing up there.
Lake Michigan right behind those two hardy souls. Bob Holly chased into the end zone safety. Henry Wechter and Richard Dent. Holly had no chance whatsoever. Third sack of the day.
I'll tell you one thing about these Bears is, you know, we said earlier, they aren't the type that lets up, and when they get you down, they don't let up. When they get you down here, they get you backed up. I'll tell you, they're coming here. No one just blocked Wechter right there, and then they get it from both sides. Poor old Holly, as you said, he didn't have a chance. He just got sandwiched. Watch that rush. They got one coming from the left, Wechter right there, then Dent from that back side, and they all meet at the same time right at Holly in the end zone.
$29-0 as the Bears get a safety. And we now go to CBS News for a special report.
News special report.
We're back at Soldier Field. The Bears are on the move again. There's a penalty marker down on a Dennis Gentry run on the last play. Bears are now going with a new quarterback, Mike Tomczak, the rookie from Ohio State. After the safety, Willie Galt returned the ensuing kickoff back past midfield. Tomczak then completed a pass to Tim Reitman. Gentry just ran with the ball, and they called it back because of an illegal block.
Personal foul, crack sack, 86, offense, still first down.
This was Tomczak's first pass here that he throws to Reitman. We see Tim Reitman come over the middle on that delay thing, hit the middle, and then straight up the field. That was a big play so far in this drive.
So the Bears have it 1st and 20 at the Falcon 33 with 12 minutes and 10 seconds left to play. Bears lead it 29-0. Tomczak signed as a free agent. Back to throw it again. Trying to set up a screen. He tried to find Calvin Thomas. Nothing worked out. Tomczak was under heavy pressure from the Atlanta rush.
And the Bears were lucky on that one that they didn't get called for ineligible men downfield. It looks like they were setting up a screen here. Tomczak had to hold the ball, and two of their linemen were downfield.
Bears shut out Dallas last week, as I'm sure you know, 44-0. And they're working on a shutout of the Falcons, 29-0. Second and 20, sorry. Calvin Thomas on a draw play. Breaks one or two tackles. Finally works his way back to the line of scrimmage. And is taken down by Mike Pitts, among others.
I think one thing about this Bear team, as I say, you know, once they get something going, they stay with it and they just beat it right into you. They don't let you up. And I can very well see this team going undefeated this year.
I can too. As far as Greg said earlier, you play the Bears, you better be ready to play tough, because they're going to beat you on the scoreboard and physically.
And they don't let up with it either. I mean, if something that stays, they're ahead 27-0, boom, they throw them for a safety.
Tomczak being chased. A penalty marker goes down. Brad Anderson was the intended receiver. Bobby Butler was back there on the coverage.
This one could be offense. It is offense. Usually when the official that calls it down there, when he runs back to the referee, it's usually against offense. When he stays there, it's usually defense. We'll see him right there. Yeah, that's what he did. He just pushed him. Brad Anderson just came up before he went to his corner move. He just pushed the defender to the ground.
Interference, number 86, offense, still third down.
Still third down. That was Bobby Butler he pushed.
Yeah, and the fans boo that, but I think Anderson knows that he's going, yeah, I did it, yeah.
Minnesota creeping closer, 23-16. Houston back in the lead over San Diego, fourth quarter, 27-21. 27-20, Washington and Pittsburgh. Redskins leading. 3rd and 30. Tomczak back in the spread formation. Here comes the blitz again, and it's hammered. Pass incomplete. Tomczak. Ortego was the intended receiver, but look at the Falcon rush.
Tomczak got up with a smile though, but he's getting the blitz, the safety, the linebackers, two of them coming free from that side, and well, they really put a lick on him.
Thomas Benson Tom Pridemore put the heat on Tomczak. Maury Buford back to punt. Anthony Allen back deep. Number 85. Buford will be aiming for the sideline again. They almost got it down. Sean Gale was the Bear who tried to tip it back into the playing field and almost was successful. Bears 29-0. Thanksgiving Day begins with the NFL today, and the theme is Home for Thanksgiving. It starts at 3:30 Eastern Time. There's one of the people who went home. He went to Montana. He came to the suburbs of Chicago. And he went to Steubenville, Ohio. That group's been together for 10 years. Send in your vote for whoever is who sometime before Thursday. Hand off to Riggs. Hit in the backfield by Dave Durison. And after we solve that riddle that I know all of you are holding your breath about, the Thanksgiving Day game on CBS is in Dallas. The Cardinals visit the Cowboys. Walter Payton over on the sideline. Another 100-yard day. Here's Riggs. He's still hammering, pounding straight ahead. Team trading 29-0. Mike Hartenstein on the tackle.
You know, it's going to be interesting in the draft this year as you watch Riggs. You know, you look at the top players, and of course, maybe the top player is Bo Jackson, right?
Right.
And then you say, well, who's going to get the first pick? Either Tampa Bay or Atlanta. First pick in the draft, but Tampa Bay has James Wilder, and Atlanta has Gerald Riggs. And, you know, I mean, what do you do in that situation?
Tampa Bay also has Steve Young. High hopes for him. So what do you do? Look out. Tom Holly. Pass was complete to Arthur Cox, and he had it knocked loose, so it's incomplete. I don't know the answer to that riddle.
And they say that this year in the draft is one of the best. I know that Gil Brandt of the Dallas Cowboys said that this year the college group coming up, he calls it the mother load. So when you get teams like the Bears are thinking like Super Bowls and playoffs and that stuff, and then the Falcons are thinking like first-round picks, second-round picks, 2 first-round picks, which they have.
Nakamaro back to kick. Taylor this time will return it. This one will stay up there a long time. Taylor had a chance to do something. Not much of a chance, though. Tim Tyrell, number 32, down there in a hurry. 32-yard kick. Bears still lead by 29.
We're here at the 18th hole of this light beer open, and we've seen some real unusual shots today.
You said it.
Hey, Bob, I think you get a birdie.
I'll see. How am I supposed to hit it through this tree?
No problem, Bert.
How's Yuka going to get out of this one?
That calls for another light beer from Miller.
Make it 2.
3, 4.
It's a good thing life's less filling.
Back to you, Ricky.
John, the last player's approaching the tee.
And when it goes to 100, you sell. I won't be long, girls. Hold my calls, will you? It hit the weather vane. It's in the drain. Here it comes out. It's going on the green. It's going in the hole.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
This open ought to be closed.
The NFL today goes home with Brent, Irv, and Jimmy. Thanksgiving Day on CBS Sports.
The Honey Bears, the cheerleaders for the Chicago Bears. They're going to be disbanded after the end of this season.
Yeah, they're going to high school girls or something. I mean, aren't they going to high school cheerleaders, having different ones every week, I think. A family atmosphere, they say.
I see. Gentry cuts back inside. He's got an explosion. He almost broke that one. Al Richardson caught him from behind, a gain of 21. They were saying to us at practice yesterday, both Eddie Hughes, the offensive coordinator, and Mike Ditka, that this guy can make some things happen. We can't keep him on the bench.
That's right, and they've been doing it for so long. And you say, well, if Gentry can run like that, why don't we ever see him? Well, because he plays behind Walter Payton, and Payton plays every game and most downs. So what they've done is they've given Gentry a new position, as you said, as a fourth wide receiver in their passing package. And of course, when they get way ahead like this, he plays for Walter Payton.
This is Calvin Thomas this time. And he's a load, too. Speaking of Payton, and speaking also of Gerald Riggs, look at what they've done in the last 7 games. Riggs would be right in there with Payton trying to tie the record had it not been for that 197-yard game. That was against New Orleans. He already has 99 today in this one. And if he does get another chance, he'll probably get over 100 again. 12-0. Looks like it's going to happen. 2nd and 8.
They're already the division champions. They have to look for loftier goals than that.
Gentry stepped away from one man, but not away from Mike Pitts. Here's our first final of the day. Cleveland improves its record to 6-6 as they beat Cincinnati 24-6. A lot of sixes. The wind chill, 19-0, huh? Pressure for the 4-6 in the D. Of course, that's the defense. You have to stay around here a long time to figure out those banners.
I tell you, you're pretty good at it, though. You get that stuff, 4-6 defense, pressure, all that stuff.
No flags. Yes, there is one on the other side of the field. Tomczak throwing left. Intended for Thomas Sanders, incomplete, and a penalty marker down.
You know, the Bears have a free spirit on their team. Wide receiver Ken Marjoram, number 82 there, and maybe that's why Ditka is asking him to do that. He's a wide receiver. They bring him in motion, and then they have him back, block in the backfield.
Still 3rd down.
He only weighs about 180 pounds. They bring him back there, and he's the personal protector. So he's wearing those short sleeves and stuff. Yep. And, you know, he's a California guy from Stanford and had a bad knee injury a couple years ago. And it's really good to see him coming back, though. He's one of these guys that has a lot of life in him, loves to play the game. Look, he got the gloves, the sweatbands and things, the sleeves rolled up.
They have several you could name free spirits, I think. 3rd down. Falcons on a blitz again. Tomczak gets it out to Sanders. Sanders steps out of a tackle and goes out of bounds at about the 29-yard line. Short of a 1st down by about a yard.
But that's why they're good, because they have free spirits and they have guys that have fun. I mean, they have, you know, refrigerators and great players like Payton and defense and a coach like Mike Ditka and, you know, kickers that roll their sleeves up and chew tobacco and stuff. And they have fun. I mean, this whole thing is fun to them. I mean, they're out there, 4th down, they're going for it, clapping their hands.
The whole atmosphere is fun. 12-0 helps that a lot.
You know, the only thing wrong here, though, you know, you think the Chicago Bears, the monsters of the Midway, Papa George Hallis, Mike Ditka, the coach, Soldiers Field, and then they play on artificial turf.
It really doesn't fit with the rest of it, does it?
There's a timeout.
6:39 left to play. And The Bears up 29-0. Fourth and 1 for the Bears at the 29-yard line of Atlanta. Gentry and Calvin Thomas behind Tomczak. Tomczak, the sneak, and he gets it. Clock continues to run. January 27th, the day of the Super Bowl.
They got a little work to do between now and then, though. You know, they got there, that got them into playoffs, and they have to win a playoff game, and of course then a championship game to get to that Super Bowl.
Rick Bryan limping off to the Atlanta sideline. Andrew Province to take his place.
Keith Van Horn was just replaced at right tackle there by Andy Frederick. In fact, the way he walked out, I thought he was thrown out of the game, but I guess maybe he was just a little tired.
Just the end of a day's work, maybe. Pitch back. Gentry. Beg your pardon, it's Thomas Sanders this time. Well, our executive committee has figured out what that banner means. That one about hibernation. 27th. The 27th is the day after the Super Bowl. And after they believe they're going to win the Super Bowl, then they go into hibernation.
You know, I don't know about that hibernation and dates and stuff, but I do know that in this league, you win on Sunday and you can never enjoy or celebrate it, because you always have the one coming up next week. But the first time you can really celebrate in a season is the day after you win the Super Bowl.
Sanders again. Left side. Mike Pitts. Clock running with just over 5 minutes remaining at Soldier Field. That's the final score now. Miami 23. Buffalo 14. The Bears go to Miami next week to play the Falcons. The Falcons still, of course, in contention in the AFC East.
The Dolphins.
Sorry.
The Falcons aren't in contention for much except getting out of here.
Who gets the first-round draft choice?
That's right.
Sanders again. He is hit out of bounds by Scott Case and Al Richardson. A gain of 10 and a Bear first down.
Hey, that Scott Case, that number 25, is a tough guy. I mean, he's been in on a lot of plays today, good and bad. Made a lot of tackles, a lot of tough hits. Been in one fight, had a pass interference penalty against him. But I tell you, he does come across and deliver a blow. In fact, he tried to get one over the cord there.
First and goal at the 7. He plays hard, does Scott Case. Sanders, left side for not much.
I wonder if the Bears get down here in close on this drive. I mean, they're relatively close now, but inside the 5-yard line. I wonder if we'll see Biscuit in there.
I doubt it. Not at this stage.
I don't know. You know, when they first did that, of course, it was against the 49ers. They put the refrigerator in the backfield, and there's a refrigerator. Look, there's 4 people wearing his jersey. One guy's trying to smoke a cigarette, and the other guy's trying to look at binoculars. But it's all within the refrigerator jersey. When they first did it was against the 49ers, kind of a lark type of thing, and then they thought this is a pretty good deal. Maybe we ought to stay with it.
Timeout, Bears. Well, it goes back to, I think, in fact, Eddie Hughes was saying that the reason that Mike Ditka did it in the first place, because the 49ers did it against them in the NFC Championship game last year with Guy McIntyre in the backfield.
Right, and then it worked, and then they said, well, maybe, you know, that first time, maybe it was just to get back to the 49ers, but hey, maybe we come upon something here.
Don't forget, coming up later today, most of you will see Philadelphia against the Dallas Cowboys. Eagles 6-5, Cowboys 7-4. Both still in contention. Some of you will see the Giants against St. Louis. Giants tied with the Cowboys. Those are the standings right now, so you can see how important they are. And also Green Bay and Los Angeles, with the Rams at 8-3, looking over their shoulder maybe a little bit.
They're looking over their shoulder and down backwards down the ladder at the 49ers. There are 2 games behind them, but of course they were the champions last year, and if they ever get it together, they could make a strong finish and be a team that this team would have to worry about in the playoffs. There's a Fritz. I don't know that he looks like he's thinking, hey, Fritz, you're on the goal line back there. They may need you. You may get another touchdown. I don't think he cares.
Not at this point. 2nd and goal at the 8. Tom Thayer might have jumped the gun a little bit. You know, Thayer's sister is married to one of the Falcon players, an injured reserve, John Scully, who's out with a broken leg. I wonder who she's pulling for today.
Well, right now, you know, they both went to the same school. They both went to Notre Dame. And I'm sure that right now she has to be pulling for the guy who's playing. When she has to say, well, you know, Tom, he's in there. He's playing with Chicago Bears. They're going to go a lot farther, you know, than the Falcons are. And everyone likes to be with a winner. By that, she'd say the Bears.
I think you're right.
Because everything else has been going. You know, Falcons are losing. John Scully's injured. Notre Dame can't win.
Here's Gentry. Knocked out of bounds at the 1. He is quick. Buddy Curry hammered him out of bounds.
Now the fans want the refrigerator. They're right down there in the goal line. As you said, this Gentry is something. And this is good for a guy like him to get in there, get some playing time, get some experience, because this all helps you the closer you get to the playoffs. They're not going with the refrigerator. They're 3rd down at about the 1 inch. Yeah, how can a refrigerator wear a jersey that says number 20? You see that jacket? That's a bat. No, that can't fit him. That has to be a trick. I think it's a trick.
That's Sanders' jacket. 3rd and goal. Ball's at the 1. Sanders gets the carry, and Sanders gets the head over heels touchdown.
That's what it was. The refrigerator was wearing his jersey, so they gave it to Sanders for the touchdown.
You mean you think all that was planned?
Sanders is going to keep that ball, though, isn't he? He's not going to get his jacket back. He won't find his jacket, but he's going to keep the ball. There's his jacket hanging on that.
When he gets it back, it'll be too big.
Here's the ball. He said, keep that ball. I want that.
3:35 remaining to play. It's 35-0. Butler with Fuller holding. Has to be a very satisfying day for Kevin Butler. Flag down on the extra point.
There's the touchdown. Here's Sanders' touchdown, just straight up the middle. Finds a little crease, goes back to it, rolls over in the end zone.
Kevin Butler, of course, played collegiately at the University of Georgia. Grew up watching the Falcons play.
Number 52 on the kicking team. 10 yards. One more try.
We'll try it again. What I started to say was the Falcons scouting staff thought, according to Butler, that when he couldn't kick off the tee as they do in college, he wasn't strong enough to kick in the pros. So he's certainly proven that he is strong enough. He won the job from Bob Thomas. And he's only missed 3 field goals and no extra points all year long. This is a long extra point, however, from 29 yards out. And it's good nevertheless. Chicago 36, Atlanta nothing. Look at that. The Bears have outgained their opponents in total yards, 1,117 to 373 in the last 3 games. And think back in the last 2 games, the score has been 80 to nothing.
That's what I was going to say. In the last 2 games, yeah, they haven't. The other team hasn't got in that end zone, and they just seem to get it in there against them. That makes. I still can't figure out how that jacket fits him. I think, see in the back, he got it drooped. I got to see the front of that. Yeah, I got to see that. Yeah, that doesn't cover much of the front. That's why. That's a running back's jacket, Biscuit. Look at that thing. Poor old Sanders will never want that thing back. Look at Sanders. He's saying, keep it. He got my refrigerator. No, that's your jacket, not your refrigerator.
Sanders is 5'11" and 203. The fridge is 6'2" and at least 303.
Yeah, we were talking to Dan Benish last night of the Falcons, who played at Clemson with a fridge. Said his first year he was about 290, 295. The next year he was 320. They put him on a diet, bananas and milk. And he said he was just eating bananas and drinking milk all day, and he gained weight on the diet.
Well, he said the problem was they didn't tell him how many bananas or how much milk.
So he ate bushels of bananas, drank gallons of milk. And gained weight.
Now, Perry is back in the game, so Sanders will get his jacket back.
Well, he's going to go look for it. He won't recognize it.
No.
He said, where's that jacket with number 20 on it? It used to be mine.
It'll look like a kimono when he puts it on.
He got the touchdown. He's still smiling about that, but wait till you see the jacket, Thomas.
They give to Riggs. He might have gotten his 100 yards. That would just be his 100th yard.
Yeah, I tell you, when they, you joke about the, size and the offense, but the one thing he can do, watch him how he just controls the line of scrimmage, controls it, and then people can converge. I mean, as Mike Ditka said, you can't just look at his statistics. He said, watch the film sometimes and look at the stuff that happens around him. A lot of big plays happen right next to him.
Riggs is now over 100. Well, he might have lost it back.
He's
back to 99.
He's back down to 99 yards. Of course, lucky that wasn't a 3rd or a 4th down where they had to punt. I mean, he can still run it again. And I'm sure when you're down 36 to nothing and your passing all day has been minus 18 yards, you're not worried about anything other than maybe getting Riggs his 100 yards.
That happened. They had a runner going for 1,000 yards a few years back, and he had it and lost it. It was Travis Williams, I think. On the same situation. Here's Riggs. He won't lose it anymore.
Well, they call that play where they can't lose it. Keep it inside, go straight up the middle, run right at the refrigerator, see if we can get by him. You won't know it.
Stopped by Wechter. He's 108 now as Riggs. 36 to nothing. That was the 2-minute warning that last time out. And the Bears leading by that score. Could that be that jacket?
That's a jacket, yeah, because the fridge gave it to him and said, here, hold this for me. That jacket's going to go in some pile after this game. That's going to be a famous jacket, that number 20. Got spread around. Refrigerator's looking over there saying, hey, where's my jacket? Take care of the jacket. I'll be right out. It's 4th down. We're going to stop him, but I'm coming. Hold the jacket. The one with 20 on it.
4th and 1. Riggs lined up behind Bob Holly. No, it's Archer back now. Darrell Riggs gets the first down for Atlanta. Holly had a tough time, so did Archer. Falcons are minus yards passing. Gerald Riggs, 30 carries, 110 yards. Minus 18 is the correct figure for the Falcons in the air.
And that's about the only plus thing they have is Gerald Riggs and his 100 yards and leading the NFL in rushing and that, because they don't have much else going for them.
Arthur Cox shakes a couple of tacklers and gets about 9 or 10. Ron Rivera brought him down.
They have to complete a couple more passes here, Pat, to get even, to get up to 0 pass yardage in this game.
At the 40.
Final score, the Redskins beat the Steelers 30-23. Redskins entertain the 49ers next Sunday. Joe Washington this time. Laterals the ball back to Archer. Archer heads for out of bounds. Given a little push by Durson.
Washington carried. He then lateral to Archer.
That wasn't one of those organized flea flickers. You know, that's a flea flicker where the running back takes the ball, goes into the line, stops, pitches it back to the quarterback, and then he throws it. On that one, I think Joe Washington just ran in there, couldn't find anything, said, oh, the heck with it. We're 36-0 down. I'll throw it back to the guy who gave it to me.
This game today produced so capably by Robert D. Stinner. He'll produce a good game for you.
Sure will.
Directed by Sandy Grossman. Field technical manager Carl Prince, who is retiring after today's game. So we wish him well in retirement, certainly. Archer scrambling. Technical director Bob Brown and the audio by Bob Siderman. 2 games are in overtime. Detroit 16, Tampa Bay 16. And New England and the Jets are in overtime at Giant Stadium. Timeout has been called by by Atlanta. They're in overtime. On Thanksgiving Day, John Madden and I will be in Dallas. And see who's the turkey. Cardinals or the Cowboys. 3:30 Eastern time. It begins with the NFL today.
Well, I think the Cowboys have a big one coming up right after this with the Eagles that will say how big that game on Thanksgiving is going to be. I think if they win, it'll be a good game and they can really start the movement thing. I think if they lose, they're going to be fighting quite an uphill battle.
Coming up next, most of you will see that game, the Eagles against the Cowboys. Boy, in the first of the year when we saw the Eagles, I thought they might not win a game. They really turned it around.
We saw in the first week against the Giants, and they were terrible at that time, but they've gotten back. They've got a couple of new players. That Reggie White's a good defensive lineman.
They've got a good defensive secondary. Here come the Bears after Archer. Down he goes. 4 sacks on the day.
Well, at least they can put us out of our agony here. They can't call any more timeouts. Why you call a timeout when you're down 36-0, I have no idea. But at least they've run out of timeout, so the only thing they can try is one more shot.
And there's the last shot fired by the Bears and Wetner and Hartenstein. Chase Archer. It's been a day of retreat for Archer. $36-0 at Soldier Field. Cold Soldier Field. And I bet it was really cold. Butler and Luckhurst still friends. Once again, the final score is Chicago 36, Atlanta nothing. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League will continue after this word from your local station.
It's another great afternoon for the Chicago Bears and Bear fans. Atlanta becomes victim number 12. Good afternoon. I'm Howard Sudbury. Welcome to the Channel 2 newsroom for a Bears Extra post-game show. Before we get started, let me explain to you why you are not seeing the CBS doubleheader game. The NFL blacks out the second game whenever the Bears are home, so we cannot show it to you. It is blacked out. We'll have some highlights from that Dallas game, maybe in a couple of minutes, though. Jeannie is live at Soldier Field. We'll be going down there for post-game interviews. First, another look at the Bears going 12-0 by a score of 36-0. No doubt in this one. And right away, Walter Payton started running at him. Walter rushed for 102 yards to keep his record streak alive. 7 straight 100-yard rushing games. Matt Suhey didn't play much because of a sore back, but Calvin Thomas came on and played a heck of a game. 17 yards there and to the 35-yard line. Then the Bears brought on Kevin Butler, 35 yards. It's 3-0. Again, Steve Fuller did everything the Bears could ask for him, but Emery Moorhead made this play with a circus catch, keeping the ball, staying in bounds as long as he could, but the drive stalled, and on came Kevin Butler again, 2 for 2, 22 yards, 6-0 Bears on top. And their next drive lasted all of 1 play. Watch Walter Payton. There's the quick flip to him. McKinnon and Thomas made great blocks, and Walter gets outside. Watch him walk the tightrope there and stay in bounds, 40 yards. It was 13-0 Bears. The defense played like they did last week. On the blitz, number 22, Dave Duerson gets in there and nails Gerald Riggs. Now some more offense. This killed Atlanta. In the second quarter, Fuller fires. Willie Gault had his man beat, makes a nice catch and gets it down to the 2-yard line. A 50-yard play, and that's refrigerator territory. Look at Perry go airborne. The designated diver took it in. 300 pounds in the air. Perry swan dives to the fans' delight. 20-0 Bears. And then he shows why the Bears drafted him. This is a pro football defensive play. Look at him turn on the speed there, and he nails the fast Gerald Riggs. How's that for a defensive play? It was 20-0 at half. In the second half, from first Atlanta play from scrimmage, and Les Frazier is there for the interception. This guy might want to try being a running back. Look at the run down the sidelines. I think he got about 35 yards on this. Picking his spots, watch him use his blockers, gets down to about the 23. But the Bears were stopped. Atlanta took over, and then they give it right back. There's a handoff. The ball is bobbled as he fights out there. Mike Hartenstein would end up with a fumble. Right here's the play. There's the nail right there. The ball comes loose. Hartenstein got it, and the Bears were again in business. The touchdown didn't count there. The Bears would take it in as they give it to Calvin Thomas. Thomas played a really good game, and the Bears were on top 27-0. I think he went in untouched on that play. Then to go to work on that touchdown some more. This was a 4th down play on the Bear 19. Gerald Riggs is stopped cold on 4th and 3, so the Bears kept them scoreless to that point. Later on, the defense scored. Early 4th quarter, Henry Wachter and Richard Dent got a safety, 29-0, the Bears again. And the final was 36-0 at Soldier Field. So it is another Chicago Bear blowout this afternoon and another Bear shutout. That is 2 in a row. And take a look at what the Bears have done so far this year. Look at the perfect dozen. And as you look down this list of Bear wins this year, notice the margin of victory. After today's win over Atlanta, the Bears are beating opponents by an average of just under 20 points a game. The Bears have a knockout punch, and they have been using it. Now, Jeannie Morris is down at Soldier Field, and I see Dan Hampton has moved into place down there. They're getting a microphone on him. One of the defensive stars again as the Bears have 2 shutouts in a row. Let's go down there now to Jeannie and Dan. Take it away.
Yes, Dan just had a question. Did the Bears cover the spread? Dan, wonderful game. Wonderful game. The defense is 3 points in 3 games, and that was 2 games ago, 2 shutouts in a row.
Well, the thing is, Jeannie, we talked about this early. When we weren't playing that well together, we talked about the team improving as the season goes along. And I think we have, and I think right now we're playing at a very, very high peak, and it's something that is going to be a springboard going into the playoffs, and especially the rest of the season, because, the defense playing as well as it is today, even against a pretty talented team like Atlanta, we needed this type of an effort to get ready for Miami because they're a great offensive unit.
They sure are. Now let's look at what you did today against the Atlanta Falcons. We're going to see a little tape here.
Well, basically, we just, try to key on Riggs. He rushed for 100 yards against us today, and he's a quality back.
Barely.
But we just tried to, take away what they like to do best, and that's try to stop him and force him to pass. But the quarterback, I think he was more dangerous running the ball than throwing it because he was just throwing the ball up for grabs. And, anytime you get a lot of pressure, you're going to have a quarterback get a little rattled and throw it up. And how many, I don't know, 3 interceptions, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was, it was a good thing for the defensive backs. I just wish we could have got him on the ground a little bit better.
I didn't hear a final stat, but I think the last I heard when I came down here, he'd only completed a couple of passes.
Well, I think he completed 3 to us, so it may hurt our average. You just have to, give the front 7 a great deal of credit as far as putting pressure on the running game and the quarterback and forcing them into errors. A lot of times, they try to get things going, and we seem to respond pretty well, and we kept them out of the end zone. And, 2 shutouts in a row is a pretty good credo for anybody.
You bet it is. Well, do you have a question, Howard?
Yeah, Dan, how do you guys keep from having any kind of a letdown? I mean, you played the Dallas Cowboys last week. It was a big emotional game. You got Miami next week. Atlanta comes in here with a poor record, and you play just like you have all year, up.
Well, Howard, I think we're playing against ourselves more than against the opponent right now. We know that with the 12-0 record, we have been pretty much the elite club in the league as far as, wins and losses. But we're playing against ourselves and trying to play a perfect game. I think maybe we held them to 150 yards. And as long as we keep attacking the ball carrier and attacking the quarterback and making them play our game, it's going to be hard for anyone to beat us. And as far as the intensity week to week, I think you have to give credit to Dick and Buddy Ryan. They have great game plans, and they keep us up. And as long as, we're rolling, it's going to be hard to stop us.
What you have, too, is great talent, and you had a wonderful game for defense today, Dan. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Howard?
Okay, Jeannie, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more right after this on our Bears postgame show.